Ben
Ben
10
10
Omniverse
Omniverse
Part
Part
2.
2.
Yeah, so like we said last time, we were going to do this in two parts because of just the fact that Omniverse is just so long of a series. So it was best to just do it in two parts, and it was for the best actually, because honestly, I think I prefer the second half to Omniverse more than the first half. I don't know about you.
Honestly, I kind of like them about the same. I may just like the first half a little more.
Okay, all right, but you have to remember, Tyler, that this half gives you the alternate intro.
You're right. So starting with the 5th season of Omniverse,
Yeah,
we get a new, very Halloween-inspired intro. Even though most of these episodes aired in February or March.
yeah, that's not going to be confusing or anything. It'll be like having a Star Wars film that wasn't released in May. Oh wait, they already did that. But yeah, so this whole season is appropriate for them changing, because this whole season it like mostly focuses on like Halloween like horror aspects, starting with the first episode of series 5, something some bozo this way comes. And naturally with a title like that, it's a Phil Gax episode. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's a some bozo episode. Yeah. So we have some bozo up to his usual tricks of just hypnotizing people, using a circus tent, and this is where we actually get like Ben's um, origin of like why he was so scared of clowns. Still don't get why he's scared of peacocks though. Never really got that.
I don't think that'll ever be explained, but
Well, we still got the reboot to watch, so it might actually get. It would be pretty funny if it actually did get explained there why he's scared of peacocks. Unless they just changed that, like, no, he's not scared of peacocks in the reboot. But yeah, the reason why Ben was scared of clowns in the first place because Max dressed up in clown makeup. Which, okay, fair enough. Especially with Max's Omniverse design, yeah, I'd be pretty scared too. Yeah. And also this, like Tyler said, it's the beginning of the Galactic Monsters arc. I and I do love right away throughout all of this, Ben figures out like right away, this is obviously some bozo.
mm-hmm.
Which you've got to appreciate when a main character's not dumb like that. Like, I wonder who this could obviously be. Like, it's so obvious who it is if you really think about it.
Yeah.
But also as well, go ahead.
It's also here where we also get the return of the circus freaks who we haven't seen since since the -10 in the classic series.
Yes, that has been a while since we've seen them. Also, hi Alicia. Hiya, welcome to the madness again. Last video on the classic continuity, but not the last video we're doing on Ben 10 because we're going to do the reboot as well, and we're going to give it a fair chance because everyone's like, oh, the reboot sucks, but we're going to give it a fair chance. So yeah, we have the return of the circus freaks as well, and also I've got to say, one of my notes for this, and I do remember this, like Rook's creepy image with a clown face. Yeah, that Rook with a clown face is probably one of the scariest images in all of Ben 10.
Yeah. So how we mentioned before that Zombozo is hypnotizing people for a circus. So how he does that is by bringing up some those little clacking teeth things.
Yeah, like like those old chattering teeth, like the that snaps onto a person, turns them into a zombie. It kind of reminds me of have you ever seen the Smurfs episode, The Purple Smurfs?
No.
No, all right. Well, it kind of reminded me of that because it was like that was basically that thing when the Smurfs all turned purple and turned into zombies, and it was literally the Smurf zombie episode. And the Smurfs nearly almost became extinct because of that. Yeah, they all got turned, and if it wasn't for a magic potion, they would have all stayed like zombies. So yeah, that's kind of like what it reminded me of. And the way Ben is able to get out of this is by using fear to conquer fear. But yeah, one thing that I really found really quite bizarre in this episode is that as we get flashbacks of Ben when he was younger, you see like okay, I do believe we get a flashback to when he was 5 years old. You see him with a t-shirt with the number 5 on it, and you just there like thinking like, was that just a gimmick with Ben? Every time he aged up, it's like when he was born, it's like he had a 0 on his t-shirt. Then when he became 1, he had a 1 and a 2 and a 3. So was he Ben 1, Ben 2, Ben 3? Would he try to do like some sort of weird? His parents try to do some sort of weird rap with him.
Maybe,
yeah. And of course, by the end of the episode, Sombozo escapes because, of course, he does. Yeah. So yeah, this episode was a interesting start to the Galactic Monsters arc, but it's only going to get better from here on out because we're going to be moving, because we get a lot of like returning faces from the franchise in this season. Probably the most that we get out of any of the Omniverse seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pretty much starting with the next episode, Mystery Incorporeal, which takes place at Gwen's university. The let me see if I get this name right. Friedkin University. No, it's pronounced Freakin' University. And that name becomes so much more apparent when you realize who is actually teaching here at one point. So at this point in Gwen's university life, she's once again taking up the mantle of Lucky Girl, but combining it with also her natural powers as well, which is very interesting. Because before, her Lucky Girl outfit was just like her mask, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And now it feels like it's like a more like her powers, like a natural alien powers, have kind of like molded into the Lucky Girl costume.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good look for her, I must say. And also as well that all these titles in this season are going to be references to horror or monster themed franchises. So like with Something Sombozo This Way Comes, that's obviously a reference to Something Wicked This Way Comes. And Mystery Incorporeal, that's obviously referencing Scooby-Doo, like the Scooby-Doo reference. And this is the episode where we actually have Charmcaster returning, but not just Charmcaster. We get also Michael Morningstar back as well, and also we get the return of Saskia as well by the end of the episode. So 3 classic villains making a return all in one episode. And when by the end of the episode, when I saw like Saskia emerging from Ledge of the Main, I was like, "Oh my god, Saskia's coming back! Saskia's coming back!" And that got me really excited. Not as much as when Paradox showed up, but still pretty exciting. But one thing I do love about this university as well is that, and I did put this in my notes because we had to do a double take on it. Jerry Rig looks like the university mascot.
Yeah. Which honestly gives credence to a theory that that there was possibly some of jury rig species that were on Earth during Friedkin University's founding.
That would actually make a lot of sense. I mean, considering by the end of Omniverse, we realize like, oh, aliens have been coming down since the time of George Washington. So it doesn't seem like a far stretch that there would be more alien species coming down since those times. Although that depends how long freaking university has been around, like, because it's never actually stated like how old the university actually is.
Yeah, it's never stated, but well,
yeah. Oh, go. I thought you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, I imagine it's been around for like a decent bit. Also, something wanting to note. One of Gwen's professors, Professor Zagliv.
Oh God, Professor Sutcliffe. I was there when I first saw the design. I was like, what is this character?
It's a red herring.
Yeah, because you expect like just seeing that character. Oh, this character is obviously gonna be a bad guy, but no, but no, they're not. They're not. And they and I believe they do eventually get involved with another. Yeah, they do get involved with another familiar character later on. But what's very funny about this is that the character is voiced by Steve Bloom. So just seeing Steve Bloom's voice come out of this character's mouth, it's just like the most bizarre, hilariously ironic thing ever.
Yeah.
So anyway, also in this episode, after Charmcaster kicks Michael out of Legend of May because he's a creep, because he's Michael, and he I don't know who do you find creepier in hindsight, Michael or Brock from Pokemon?
Probably Michael.
Okay. I want to get this is why I want to do like a tier list on creepy, unintentionally creepy characters in fiction. Like Michael would be on there, Brock would be on there.
Personally, I think there's more intention behind Michael's creepiness.
Yeah, there obviously is, and by the end of the episode, Michael has been turned in. We don't realize this yet, but Michael has been turned into a totem. But when Charmcaster first comes in contact with him, I was like, wait, so is Michael dead?
Later we find out he's just fine, though.
Yeah, but it was something. It was something that I was like, really, this is. If that had been how Michael went out, I would be like, holy crap, I can't believe they actually went there. Like Charmcaster straight up murdering someone.
Yeah. Honestly, if this were like UAF, they probably would have gone through with killing Michael. I feel like
I feel like a lot a lot of these villains would death would be like the most optimal ending for their character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the thing that happens to Charmcaster is like by the end of it, which we'll get to later on, I think is a fate worse than death if you really think about it.
Yeah. Also, since we've already mentioned the scare, we also get the return of Ghost Freak.
Yes. No, we got to do it. Ghost Freak. I think Ghost Freak might actually be one of the easiest voices to actually do because you're just gonna do it like this. So yeah, we got Ghost Freak back as well in his Omniverse debut, and I must say I do compared to his OS, his original series design and his Ultimate Alien design. I don't know, like, how would you rank the designs of Ghost Freak?
Honestly,
Because honestly, I think this might actually be my favorite Ghost Freak design. I mean, the one in Alien Force is pretty cool because it's got like the upside down head, but this one, like, just completely green, wrapped in chains, makes it feel like this is a demon that doesn't need to be released in any way, shape, or form.
yeah, I like the interpretation, but I gotta give it to the Alien Force design where that protective layer of skin is peeled off. Mainly because of the upside down skull.
Yeah. I will say the transformation into Ghost Freak in Alien in Ultimate Alien Force, it's in Alien Force is probably like the creepiest transformation because of just the sound effects of just like Ben's head contorting to turn upside down as well.
Yeah, not to mention his spine elongating and like growing thorns out of each of the vertebrae.
Yeah. Can you imagine
And
being a doctor trying to analyze like how is Ben's body still able to function after all these transformations?
that would be interesting to see. But I guess we can thank the alien DNA.
Yeah. Yeah, we can find the alien DNA. But yeah, pretty good episode to reintroduce a lot of the classic characters. But now we get into what I like to call the first of the bizarre episodes of the second half of Omniverse. Vengeance is Mine, or Vengeance is Mine, which is legitimately, I kid you not, I kid you not, the episode where we have Ben and Rook fighting the Forever Knights, and throughout all the episode, all we have is Siphon thinking that this random plumber, yes, he is a plumber, a legitimate plumber, janitor, whatever, is Phil Gax, all because of his name being Bill Gax. And also the fact that he's also voiced by Steve Bloom. So it is, although it is kind of funny to see Siphon literally bowing down to a human without realizing that what he's doing is completely pointless because it's not Phil Gax. Although I have to admit, it had me fooled for a while.
Also, yeah, it's another case of a red herring. It's also in but also we also see some of like some giant squid monsters which are apparently from from a previous fight Ben had with Vilgax.
Yeah. Which I don't think did we see that fight or
We saw a flashback to it,
right.
but it never happened in the classic series.
Never happened in the classic series. Okay.
I think it's presumed that was 11-year-old Ben, which retroactively retcons the fact the line in Alien Force when Ben said that he hadn't seen Vilgax since he was 10.
Although you could argue that because we cut off from Ben when he's 10 and just skip to when he's 50, you could argue that it's just before he turns 11.
Fair enough. Though
like it would be pretty funny. It would actually be pretty funny if it was like I haven't seen you since I was 10, and then Phil Gax says like, yeah, but you were gonna turn 11 the next day. That would have been hilarious. Like it was the day before his 11th birthday, so technically he is right. But Phil Gax was like, yeah, but that's only by one day. Otherwise, you would have been 11, Ben.
I think it's implied that Ben's birthday is like in December.
Right, and they did go, and it was the summer road trip. Like, isn't it like the whole of the classic series takes place over the summer?
Yeah.
So I guess we can calculate that that it might fight with the squids might have taken place sometime in like October or November. Yeah. I guess we're gonna have to. Oh, go ahead.
But then that would beg the question: how did Vilgax get a new ship after being thrown into space?
Probably just found one passing by and was like, "I'm taking this for myself."
Fair enough.
Because Vilgax would do something like that. Yeah. So yeah, really, honestly, nothing much to say about this episode. It's just literally everyone thinking this Vilgax is Vilgax, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now we move on to an American werewolf in. Oh, I'm sorry, an American Ben Wolf in London. As if the title couldn't be more obvious on it. By the way, have you seen American Werewolf in London?
No, I have not.
It's a pretty good film. Like the transformation in that film to the werewolf it's all done practically, and it's one of the best werewolf. I have to show you the transformation after we've done this because it is a pretty good transformation. So yeah, this is where we get the return of Kai and her granddad Wes, and this is where we get the confirmation that the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story is real in the Ben 10 universe, because it was a forever night all along.
Yep, Dr. Jekyll was associated with the Forever Knights. It's also here where we get the writer shipping Ben and Kai.
Yeah, which okay, this really should have like been spaced out a lot more over the course of Omniverse. Like, okay, if they didn't want Julie and Ben to be together, fine, fair enough. But like, have Kai be part of the main group, because this is something that I've actually noticed. I actually noticed a problem with Omniverse as a whole. It's like, what is different between Omniverse compared to the other classic continuities?
It's more lighthearted tone and focus on comedy.
No, not that. Like, who was part of Ben's team in the classic in the original series?
Gwen.
And
Gwen and Max.
And then who was part of it is team in Alien Force and Ultimate Alien?
Gwen and Kevin.
Gwen and Kevin. Yeah, but now it's just Ben and Rook, and it's like, why not add another character in there to have that, to get that trio dynamic going on, and it would have helped to like make this relationship seem a bit more believable if we had Kai as part of Ben's team here throughout the whole of Omniverse. Like, because in this episode we find out that that Kai's grandfather was was originally a plumber and a magister at that as well. So I don't see why it wouldn't have. I don't see why they couldn't have made Kai part of the main group, following in her grandfather's footsteps, in kind of the same way that Ben did with Max.
Mainly because of the fact that, according to this episode, Kai hadn't spoke to Ben ever since he was 10 years old.
And that's fair. That's fair. But still, bring her back at the beginning of Omniverse and be like, "Hey Ben, it's been a while. Yeah. How have you been? How have you been, Kai? What are you doing here?" And she explains like, "Oh, I've decided to become a plumber, and your grandfather has assigned me to your team with Rook to kind of basically be the trainee of the trainee alongside Rook as well." Because it would have been interesting to see that how that dynamic would have gone if we had like the trio, like the main trio. And again, it would have made the relationship a lot more believable, as opposed to just shipping them for the sake of like plot. That's literally the only reason why Kai and Ben get together, for the sake of plot. Where there are other characters who would be far better suited to be with Ben in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
it's also.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. It's also in this episode where we see the reintroduction of Ben Wolf, now renamed Blitzwolfer, officially, named after Wolf Blitzer.
Which is a much better name than just Ben Wolf.
Yeah, I prefer the name I came up with, Howlitzer.
Yeah, that is a good name as well. But speaking of which, I've got down as one of my notes, because there's a reference to Howl's Moving Castle in this episode. Howl's Castle Moving and Storage. It's like, seriously.
There was also a TARDIS police box as well.
Yes, there's a TARDIS police box, and there's a weeping angel. There's a weeping angel in this episode as well. So it's like they were. I imagine that they were thinking like, okay, they're going to London. Like, oh, what are some of the British elements that we can put in it? Like, they just shoved in a lot, so many British elements. Like, we got Sherlock, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We got the sword Excalibur. Because of the sword in the stone. We got also, like I said, we got also Doctor Who as well, and obviously paying homage to Dwayne McDuffie being a massive Doctor Who fan.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that made me laugh so much when I first saw the episode, what Rook says, he hopes English people make more sense than Americans.
I mean, to be fair, Americans do hardly make sense, and the English language, the English language is just a language of exceptions to rules.
Yeah, the English language just seems like an excuse for people to be like, no, this is not how you say it. By the way, it's football, not soccer. I'm sorry, my Britishness is coming through.
Okay, it's French fries and not chips.
No, it's chips. And chips here are crisps. That's how it's meant to go, Tyler. We had to get a few jabs at each other. So yeah. Anyway, apparently, even though Humongous Sword can't lift out the sword in the stone, he can still lift the stone with the sword in it in this episode. Which is crazy to think about. Like you wonder who would be worthy to hold the sword Excalibur.
Argit.
No! No! So yeah, really fun episode. Nice episode for the Forever Knights as well. Which I hope they're treated with a lot more dignity in the reboot if they are in the reboot.
I think they are.
Yeah.
Mostly the
Oh,
mostly when it comes to the Forever Knights indignity, mostly comes from Alien Force and UAF.
yeah, but I hope they're treated a lot better because it seems like a lot of times when the Forever Knights are brought in, they have no idea what to do with them. They're just kind of like the villains that are just kind of like there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, hi Needhog, thanks for joining us. So yeah, really fun episode. Got a lot of references to British culture here, especially one that I have to bring up about when Ben mistakes that when Ben makes the most obvious mistake ever about Big Ben when it's like when Ben's like, oh yeah, we're gonna attack Big Ben, and it's like the clock tower, and it's like the clock tower, and Rook has to correct him. It's like, nope, it's actually the bell. It's the bell is called Big Ben, not the tower. So I love that because a lot of people do make that mistake. So anyway, yeah. Now we've got animal crackers. And he does go crackers in this episode, so the title is appropriate for Animo.
Yeah. In this episode, we see, shockingly enough, ironically enough, this is the present Dr. Animo's last episode of the Prime continuity, and in this episode, he meets his future counterpart.
Which I've got to say, purple. I never expected that to be a pretty intimidating look for Animal, but here we go. I don't know what it is, but purple always seems to be like one of those intimidating colors. I think it just might be because of the fact that one of Animal's eyes in his future self is kind of like missing. So it's kind of like you got this weird, bizarre effect of one being covered up and then the other one just being like having the squint to it, which makes him look a little bit more intimidating.
Yeah. It's also in this episode where we meet a mysterious time traveler named Spanner.
Yeah. Who I wonder who this is, but eventually he does slip who it actually is. Spanner. I don't know how I feel about him. I mean, he's cool. He is cool. He is cool, and he has some pretty and he has a pretty cool design. But I just think I feel like it's the problem a lot of like characters that come from the future have. It's like you can't really do much with them because of the fact like, oh, if you do, then that's just going to create plot holes about like why are they even in this situation in the first place. But at the same time, like it is some like pretty blank slates, and Spanner is a pretty blank slate character.
Especially for who he ends up being.
Yeah, so he's a little bit disappointed on my part, but also in this episode we get since the first series we get Lieutenant Steele back.
Yeah, he comes back for like 3 seconds.
3 seconds, yeah. So it's just like, I'm making a glorified cameo here. Did you miss me? Oh yeah, you exist.
Ooh.
I get the feeling that with this, I get the feeling with Omniverse they're just trying to crime it. It's like, okay, who's not been in Omniverse yet that was in the classic series? Who's not been in Omniverse yet in the classic series? Like, okay, Lieutenant Steele, put him in here.
Yeah, it's also here where we get the introduction of the second to last of Ben's new aliens, Gut Rot. Basically, what he can do is that he He's basically a walking chemistry lab. He's able to brew up different types of gases and expel them.
Yeah, you know who'd love him?
Who?
Senku from Doctor Stone. Senku would
Eh.
absolutely love to get his hands on gut rot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. Really good episode for Animal to go out on, as well.
I'll say.
Yeah. Also, just want to say, look at some of these. Needhog, they did start to find a way to use them. And like, yeah, they did. I just wish they had a concrete plan for the Forever Knights. About what they ultimately wanted to do with them, rather than just being like, okay, we need a villain for this episode. Like, oh, the Forever Knights, yeah, just put them in here. And also, hello, Scoot or Scott. So yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my god. Okay, I've got to say, because I had Good Rock, aka Farting Alien, and that's kind of important, and that's kind of like funny because I've just been I was just playing earlier South Park Fractured Butthole, where you literally use your farts to warp space and time. So it's kind of like just using Goot Rock's ability there. And it's also revealed in this episode that Ben mentioned having fought future animals. So this is the same animal from the Ben 10,000 episode.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least the same in appearance, like.
Yeah, at least an appearance. And also, thank you, Rook, for saying this. Time travel, Ben. It never makes any sense. That is correct, Rook. You are correct. And if this is an episode about time travel, why wasn't Paradox here?
Maybe he doesn't want to waste himself on small fry. Because he shows up when like the world or the galaxy or the universe is in danger. Like the lowest stakes thing that Paradox has been a part of was when his lab partner Hugo got turned into that trans-dimensional time beast.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, and with that, we can move on to Rad Monster Party, where we have Ben, Rook, Rad, and Hobble flying through the Anua system in the lovely duck. And it turns out that that where they're going is to an alien world all full of monsters. And yeah, so last time, so in Alien Force we had the DNA aliens and hybrids being racist towards everyone else in the universe. Now it's Ben's turn to be a racist. Yeah, you cannot deny that Ben was racist in this episode.
Yeah.
Because he goes to an alien planet, he sees the locals, he calls them all monsters, scared of them because of the fact that they're all representations of like those classic standard monster movie monsters that you would see in old B movies. But on Anora Transcell, which is legitimately just Transylvania as a planet, Ben is the monster to them. So it's kind of this weird kind of like, who's more racist here? Is it Ben or the I guess you could call them Transylvanians.
Well, the planet's called Inner Transil, so I guess be more Transillians.
Yeah, Transilians.
But that's also a species name for Frankenstrike.
That's that's fair. And also in this episode, speaking of Frankenstrike, we have the return of Dr. Victor in this episode.
And the first the proper first reappearance of the scare.
Yeah,
It isn't just his arm.
Yeah, who goes on to explain like, oh, how he escaped. How he escaped after Ben thought he was lost in Legional Main, and Dr. Victor found him in a basement in the basement of Plumber HQ and consumed the soul inhabiting inhabiting Sasuke. So that basically Dr. Victor is under Sasuke's control once more. Blah. Blah. And also, Hobble is completely useless in this episode. I cannot defend Hobble in this episode. It's like he does nothing.
Yeah, neither can I. I got sick of him very fast.
Yeah. I did have one note here, which I can't remember what it was all about. It was, well, good news, Scouts, for removing the racism. I don't remember what that was all about.
Because basically, Ben turned the entire population of Anartransil against them, and Scout's like, "Hey, just because it's ugly doesn't mean just because Ben's ugly doesn't mean you have to be rude."
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, legitimately just removing the all the racism out, all the racism, so that everyone can get out of this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this episode was an interesting one to like see this whole planet full of like the classic monsters and see how they would because it's always been like a standard trope of sci-fi, like whenever you go to any planet, like who is really the monster? Is it the visitor or the actual inhabitants?
The answer is neither.
And it's neither. It really is neither. So yeah, with that we have Charmed, I'm sure, where we have Charmcaster meeting Sasuke, and Sasuke actually having the Alpha Ruin, and we also have in this episode Ben dealing with the worst battle he has ever fought in his life. A pimple. You cannot fight the pimples. The pimples will consume you.
It's also here where, similar to how Ben had trouble transforming into aliens that were Ghost Freak and Mystery Incorporeal, he is having trouble transforming into anything except for Swamp Fire.
Yeah.
Also, a quick aside, I think Charmcaster's design here in Omniverse is her best.
Oh, absolutely her best design. Because her original design, well, classic. I don't know. There was I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is that just makes it. It might just be like the fact that the fact that the black on the dark pink. Black is a great contrast for the dark pink that she has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in Alien Force and Ultimate Alien, they made her look like Scarlet Witch.
Oh, absolutely, make her like Scarlet Witch. So yeah, I do believe that we have Charmcaster actually teaming up with Ben in this episode, like, because that's something that Charmcaster has done before, like a common enemy. They'll team up together, and I don't know. Do you which do you prefer? Which side of Charmcaster do you prefer? Do you prefer like the natural I'm gonna be evil, I'm gonna be evil, conquering type, or the one that's more neutral, like if you get in my way, I'm gonna fight you, but at the same time, if you need my help, I'll help you out when the situation calls for it.
Definitely the more neutral one.
Yeah. So it is always nice to see where that when Charmcaster actually just team up with them, because I generally believe like if Charmcaster was in different circumstances, she could have actually been like a really powerful ally to the group. Yeah.
Hmm.
But anyway, there is a reason why Ben is only being able to transform into Swampfire in this episode, is because Swampfire gets his Blossom form in this episode. I do believe that's the name of it, isn't it?
What?
Swampfire's it's his Blossom form.
Yeah. Also a bit of a controversial one because a lot of people don't like the Blossom formed.
What do you think of it personally?
I think it's all right. Just doesn't scream swamp fire to me.
Yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from here, because it looks more like he's put on a trench coat of anything. Whereas the original design of Swampfire feels more like the vines are naturally naturally form part of his body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something I will agree with people who say they don't like this design of Swampfire. But by the end of the episode, Charmcaster is back in Legend Domain when she does reveal that she has imprisoned Michael as a Tom, as well as Agra. How do you pronounce this guy's name?
Adwecha.
Agwaja. Yeah. So yeah, and throughout most of her appearances from now on, she's going to be it's going to be appearing like she's talking to herself, but in actuality, like no, she's talking to the totem versions of whoever she has to, whoever she has in prison as the totems. So anyway, with episode 8 of series 5, we have The Vampire Strikes Back. No connection to The Empire Strikes Back, I'm sure. But this is where we have a new villain in the form of Lord Transfall, who is who at this point is basically the ruler of the planet Anor Transfall, and have him teaming up with Sasuke. And I do believe that this is the final defeat in the classic series for Sasuke. Yeah. I am inside you. Yeah, Vex is inside us. Yeah. And Tyler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were falling asleep then.
No, all good, all good.
Because I could hear snoring. Oh god. So yeah, Vampire Strikes Back, no relation to the Empire Strikes Back, and Ben at this point gets kicked off of Rad's ship because Rad is pissed off about what Ben has been doing to his ship.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that he was the reason for the destruction of a crucial part Rad needed for the ship. The fact that he trusted Charmcaster to begin with, and the fact that he turned the entire population against them twice.
Yeah, yeah, but also we have Ben's last transformation, I believe, of the original concept, like his last new transformation.
Yep,
Of the
this
original
is his final new transformation of of the Prime continuity. Vampire, the Vladat.
Wait, for his final new alien, I do like it. I do like it. It's got that very vampiric design about it, and green with black is always a nice color contrast. So yeah, by the end of the episode, with the help of Atomic, Ben is finally able to once for all defeat the scare. So so pretty good way for Sasuke to go out in a season that really heavily focused on him. And this honestly should have been the finale of season 5. I don't know about you, but I really do believe that this could have been the finale. And I do believe this is actually intended to be the true finale of season 5, considering with the next 2 episodes they feel completely out of place with this season.
Fair enough, but that's mostly due to the fact that they are episodes 199 to 200.
That's fair. Right. But now we get into what is probably the best season finale of all of Omniverse.
Yep. And then there was none, and then there was Ben.
Yeah, which I have a lot of notes here for these 2 episodes. So anyway, we my question was why is I think the airing order kind of I can understand why they put this as the airing order. Like, this would have been a pretty effective opening for season 6 if it actually went there. But things are going strange here. We have Ben playing soccer and Ben not knowing who Kevin is and not having the Omnitrix, which leads us to very quickly realize that, oh, this is an alternate reality where Ben doesn't have the Omnitrix and Gwen doesn't go to college. But the most crazy thing about this is that I cannot wrap my head around about how this is possible. JT and Crash are friends with Ben. Like, that's not true. That's impossible. Search your feelings.
I don't know, maybe
it to be true. Oh, go ahead.
It was stated that JT and Ben were friends at a young age. Maybe where and like JT stopped hanging out with Ben when he started hanging out with Cash. So maybe I don't know, JT invited Cash to hang out with Ben?
Yeah, possibly. So yeah, like I said, this is an alternative reality where Ben doesn't have the Omnitrix, and it's known as the No Watch timeline. But this is where we have many different Bens showing up. So we have Evil Ben and Ghost Freak. We have Nega Ben. We have Albedo. We have Ben Sara, and this is where we get the return of Paradox again. So yeah, this is a threat worthy of Paradox, because Paradox explains that all the branches of the Ben's timelines are being kidnapped.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead if you wanted to say something.
It's also here where Paradox brings in an army of his own Bens. We have Ben Prime, Ben 23, Gwen 10, and the return of Ben 10 of a brand new Ben 10,000. This time equipped with the Bi-Omnitrix. Basically, with this device, he's able to fuse his aliens together. We see Four-Mungosaur, a combination of forearms and Humongosaur, and Atomic X, a fusion of Atomics and Alien X.
Which is pretty crazy to think that I'm surprised that concept has it's taken this long to get to that concept of like, hey, can you actually fuse the aliens together? And
I mean, we had that all the way back in Classic with Dr. Animo and the Mutant Ray.
Yeah, fair enough. Now that you mention that, yeah, that is a good point. I just wish it was used more often. Is all. So yeah, and we also have Phil Gax back for this finale, who's using, who has a Chrono Sapien,
A
which
Chronosapien time bomb.
time bomb, which is which gets destroyed and essentially wipes out everyone. Like it's literally like probably the darkest that it's basically the Thanos snap. It's the Thanos snap of the Ben 10 universe here, because literally everyone gets erased except for what I like to call No Ben. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Also Eon's here.
Oh yeah, Eon as well, because of course Eon's here. Eon's here as well. So yeah, and the only way to like fix all of this is Paradox saves No Ben, and they have to go back to the beginning, leading us into the Series 5 finale. And then there was Ben, and the reboot button gets pressed around here.
Yep. Basically, in there, and then there was Ben. Paradox basically takes Watch Ben, equipped with Ben Prime's Omnitrix, all the way back to the beginning of Ben. Well, back to the start of Ben Prime's story.
Yeah. So essentially, Paradox and No Ben essentially created the Prime timeline.
Yep. Because it's also stated that Ben Prime's timeline is sort of like a template that all other timelines kind of branch off of. Almost like the root of the tree versus the branches.
Yeah, and by the end of Omnitrix, it becomes apparent that it's essentially one big loop. Essentially, the Prime Ben 10 timeline. Yeah. So because of the damage that Eon has done, No Ben has to collect all the good Bens for the battle with him, including Ben 23, which confers that this takes place after the Ben 23 episode. And by the way, still Ben 23, the names you give for the aliens still suck. They still suck even after all this time. But one note I had here: Argit doesn't deserve an Omnitrix.
Why do you think they didn't take him?
Yeah, which is good. Which is good. It's good that they did take him, but just seeing Argit with the Omnitrix, like that just feels so wrong, Tyler. It feels so wrong because of who Argit actually is. Like no, I do not want to imagine like the awful fan art of like Argit transforming into Upgrade. Like if someone, now that I've said that, someone's probably drawn it at some point. So yeah, Clockwork's used here to reverse the damage that Phil Gax did, and this is where we get a pretty intense fight between all the Bens and Phil Gax. Before we wrap it up with the phrase, "So many ways to tell a story." Well, yes, there are, except the one with Argit as with the Omnitrix. There's no way you can tell that story. That story needs to be buried and forgotten. But yeah, overall, this was a solid two-parter. We got a lot of bends. It was pretty intense. Like when the end of and then there were none came out, I was like, oh, holy crap! How are they gonna get out of this one? So yeah, overall, series 5 might actually be my favorite series of Omniverse.
Honestly, I kind of wish we spent more time on Anna Transl.
Yeah, that's really the only problem. For a series called Galactic Monsters, we didn't really. Now that I think about it in hindsight, we didn't really get a lot of Galactic Monsters if you really think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool what we got, but at the same time, we could have gotten more. We could have gotten more. But I suppose that's I suppose that's some. That's I suppose that's something that we just have to be thankful that with what we got. I mean, we got the end of Sasuke's story, and we also got like a really intense finale, even though it wasn't technically part of the Galactic Monster story arc. Yeah. But anyway, now moving on to the cat fight episode where the women in Ben's life are like, I want to marry him. No, I want to marry him. No, I want to marry him. And Ben in this episode is on a double date with Rook and Renault Renoa along with Esther, which I've got to say, Esther is a much better girlfriend for Ben. I don't know about you.
I agree.
Like, I mean, she could stretch. She's basically Luffy. She's basically Luffy if she was an alien in the Ben 10 universe. If Luffy was an alien in the Ben 10 universe, that is basically what Esther is.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I was thinking more like Elastigirl from The Incredibles, but
hey, Elastigirl, Luffy, yeah, you can pick
same principle.
Same principle. Like her whole principle is that she can stretch really, she can stretch her body really hot, really far and really long. Which I think Ben would love that, a woman that can stretch herself.
Not to mention, she is a capable fighter.
Yeah. Again, leading back to one of our things, like we needed that trio. We needed that trio dynamic to kind of have people bounce, to kind of have more people bounce off each other as opposed to just being Ben and Rook. Now, Rook is a great character, not just Rook, but we need. I feel like we needed someone else. We needed like that added teammate. So yeah, the whole point of this episode is that Princess Luma and General Atea are trying to make Ben their husband, but it's failing, and that's literally the whole point of this episode. Is like, well, it literally does what it says on the tin.
Also, the cat lady Nancy Chan is here.
Yeah, yeah. Who gets control of Raph because get it? Raph's a cat. She can control cats.
Yeah. And a remote control gets made for the Omnitrix. Basically allowing the toggle through Ben's transformations.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to see. But at the end of the day, this was not one of the better episodes.
I agree.
Yeah. The only thing that's worthwhile about it is the fact that Ben should have ended up with Esther. That's all I'm going to say on it. Now, moving on to Collect This, where we have Ben getting jealous of someone else. Basically, this is the meta episode because Ben finds out about someone using his aliens and himself to create intergalactic TV shows, and now the actor playing him on those shows is actually more famous than Ben himself. So Ben is getting jealous of his acting counterpart.
Yeah, And we also see that Blarney T. Hoaxstar is the one behind this. Because Ben wouldn't sponsor his miracle elixirs, but the Ben 10 actor would. Hold on, let me pull up his name so we could stop.
I do believe his name is.
Deefus Veebelpister.
I'm just gonna call him out to Ben 10 because that name is a mouthful.
Deefus Veebelpister.
Deefus Feeb. I can't even say it. I can't even say it.
Oh yeah, and
wait.
Simeon's also here for some reason.
Yeah, why is Simeon here? Like, what's the point? What's the point of him even being here?
I guess because he's playing the role of Gwevin, which is just a fusion of Gwen and Kevin.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd also try to sell the Earth to the collector moves as well, because people can do that. Apparently, they can just sell a planet.
Yep.
Yeah, without even how is Simeon able to sell a planet? And by the end of it, the only way Ben is able to get the planet back is that they trade it for Ben's T-shirt. It's like, is Ben's T-shirt really that valuable? It looks like something you can buy. You can buy at any Target or Walmart.
I mean, to Collectimus, it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Who is buying the planet?
Yeah. But by this logic, Ben is now the owner of Earth. It's like literally Ben rules the Earth if you really think about it now.
Yep. I mean, he owned the Earth when he beat Vilgax in the Conqueror's Challenge.
Oh yeah, he did. He did.
And then for some reason, Volcanus bought the Earth, which is.
But then wouldn't he have to buy it from Ben? Since Ben owns the Earth, so wouldn't Volcanus have to buy it from Ben?
Yeah, which makes the episode Inferno from Alien Force all the weirder, because he would have had to go through Ben to buy the Earth, because he was trying to terraform it to be more like his home planet.
Yeah, and by this logic, wouldn't Simeon need to buy the Earth from Volcanus then in order to sell it to Collectimus? It's like, who officially owns the Earth now? If people could just come and buy it,
I'll tell you who. Deefus Veebelpister.
Deefus Veebelpister. But
anyways,
also,
I am going to be right back. You can go ahead and keep talking.
All right. But my big question about this episode is like, does it count as cheating to involve accelerate species in a game of football? Because that would because since accelerate's whole thing is like super speed, playing football or soccer, as people like to call it, wouldn't that still count as cheating? Because technically it would give the people who have the accelerate species on their side an unfair advantage. That's just something I noticed in regards to this episode. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to probably one of my most one of the most infuriating, but at the same time, totally satisfying episodes ever.
The Vengers.
The Avengers. Oh wait, wasn't? Oh no, it's not this. Oh no, it's not this episode. It's
basically in this episode, Billy Billionaires as well as Captain Nemesis, who is surprisingly not in prison anymore.
Yeah.
Considering...
Who do you think broke him out?
Oh yeah, Will Harang probably paid his bail or something.
Will Harang paid his bail because fuck Will, fuck him to hell.
Oh yeah, and Kangaroo Commando's here, and they form the Vengers.
Yeah. Trying to be like the Avengers, but not being half as good. And even despite all the evidence of like, despite all the evidence to the contrary of everything, Will still finds a way to blame Ben for everything.
Of course, he's a slanderous news reporter. He's J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's basically the standard like, enemies of Ben are going to team up and form a team, and then they can't get along, so they turn on each other.
Yep. It's also here where we get one of the greatest showings from Brainstorm.
Yes.
We see him single-handedly beat the crap out of all the Vengers.
Yeah, and and after Brainstorm is transformed back into normal, Ben tells Benny that he quits as a hero and throws his hoodie into the garbage, like he's doing, "I'm Spider-Man, no more." And of course, Will has to make a big show about it. It's like, "Oh yeah, you heard it right. Ben is now Ben Zero. You gotta praise the Avengers all the time." But Rook tells Ben that he hopes he knows what he's doing, and of course this is all a ploy, because Ben's using this as a way to show them like, okay, if you guys want to be the hero, you do it and see how you like it. And of course they don't like it because they don't get along with each other. Despite wanting to be a team, they don't get along with each other, and they all agree like, "Oh, we're terrible as superheroes, so we're going to be super villains instead."
Yep, and Ben said that while he was a Brainstorm, he basically knew that they were all going to turn on each other, and the Avengers would disintegrate.
Yeah. And of course, Rook has to be more awesome than ever and just shoot a web at Will to be like, "You stay out of this." So yeah. This was an infuriating but pretty satisfying episode that gets concluded by the end.
Yep.
And now you've got to cough it up. You got to cough it up, Tyler, because that's the name of the next episode.
Cough.
Yeah, of course. So, and of course, who has to be involved in this episode? But Argent. Okay, I'll give Argent his dues here. He can have the spotlight for 5 minutes.
I mean, to be fair, there's also we also get the return of Jimmy Jones.
Yeah, Jimmy Jones. So that kind of like bumps it up a little bit here. So yeah, Argent acquires a handful of technoid robots as henchmen that essentially give him protection, and they can't be bribed or killed. So it makes Argent inaccessible by people so basically Argent cannot be touched by people he's pissed off, essentially.
Yeah. It's also in this episode where Ben and Rook start theorizing whether or not Jimmy is actually Spanner.
Which, I would have actually preferred that. I would have actually preferred that if Jimmy was actually Spanner. Like, because that would have made so much sense for Jimmy, because of the fact that he's been in contact with these alien creatures for some time now. Like, because he knows about Ben, he knows about all the aliens. He probably came in contact with an alien who, I don't know, was dying and passed on its powers to Jimmy, allowing him to transform in, basically have his own version of the Omnitrix, but it was only for one transformation. That alien species, which
Getting the call.
looks like. Which looks like Spanner, which looks like how Spanner looks like. It would have made it so much more interesting if Spanner was an alien species that died and passed those powers to Jimmy. I would have actually preferred that, because it would have given Jimmy a lot more screen time and actually made him more involved in the plot. Because I do like Jimmy and he admires Ben, and it would make so much more sense. It would make so much sense for his character to actually have something like that happen to him. But no, we don't get that for some reason. Well, I do know the reason why they do it, but at the same time, they at the same time, it would have been interesting, especially because throughout this episode they play it up so much that because Spanner and Jimmy are never in the are never in the same location in this episode. And also, we find out that Siphon is running a bar, and bounty hunters are hunting Argent, which is why he needs the techno drones. And by the end of the episode, he tells the bounty hunters that the band from Undertown and the citizens of Undertown stop worshipping Argent. Argent doesn't deserve a win. Argent doesn't deserve a win. He doesn't deserve. He really does not deserve a win. But yeah. Ben wants answers about what Jimmy is actually going on here, but Jimmy is like, no, I'm gonna go try and interview Argent. So there you go, Argent. You got your spotlight for a few minutes. Be very proud. Because that's more than what you should be getting out of me, considering I'm not the biggest fan of your character. And if anyone wants to know what I have with Argent, it's like he's no, it's just like he's a scumbag that just has the most punchable face ever, even more punchable than some of the characters that we've seen in Power Rangers. And yes, he has an even more punchable face than Phineas Vex from Mystic Force. I'm sorry, but he does. So yeah. Anyway, now moving on to the rooters of all evil. Now, with this episode, I feel like that this is an episode that just screams like it doesn't really need to be here. This really doesn't need to be here, because because I feel like this is the this kind of like is a bit of a controversial episode because of what happens and what gets explained here. It turns out that Kevin's powers would oh no, we already had this controversial. Didn't we have this episode about the reveal of trying to remember, like it is revealed. Oh no, no. Yeah. Okay, yeah. This this is the episode that is probably like the most controversial episode. Yeah. Kevin reveals in this episode that because that the leader of the Rooters, which turns out to be Professor, a character called Professor Servant, was all the things about Kevin his whole life was a lie. Like this was something that was very controversial, and yeah, I can understand why it is, because to take that backstory for Kevin about with his dad Devon 11 and meeting Max and being and being the partner of Devon, just to throw that out, like, no, that's false memory by Protector Servatant. No, it was a false memory, and Devon technically does not exist. Yeah, and Kevin is not not an alien, but just a human with unique genetic components in their DNA that gives them unique abilities. And this is the same, I do believe, for it's all the Alagamar kids. So like so like Helen, Manny, Piers, Alan, and yeah. I really don't like that. I can agree that this is just like a big fu to their characters, to these characters that we've known for so many years, to just throw out and say, no, no, it was all a lie. It was all a lie. I mean, maybe if it was brought up a bit more, it could have been a very effective plot twist. But the fact that it just seems to come right the hell out of nowhere, just for the sake of being a twist, just for the sake of a twist, that's kind of what's disappointing about it for me. Yeah, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the of everything that happened, like the retconning of Devon and the plumber kids and Max, essentially, because we've had a time to get to know these characters, and just to say that it was all a lie. It's like, what else is a lie? What else is a lie? So yeah. Anyway, I'll wait. We'll wait. We'll see what Tyler has to say about the roots of all evil when he gets back. But for now, we're going on to Bluken and Drebo go to Area 51, and as characters, Bluken and Drebo, I do like them. I do like seeing them every now and again. They're not they're not like Argits, where they're like where every time they show up, just like, oh, go away. They're quite pleasant. They just do their job. They're the comic relief, and some of their episodes are actually pretty enjoyable. And this one is one of them. So it starts off with Thunderpig battling two plumbers in Plumber HQ, and after he escapes his cell, Ben is asking everyone, "Hey, why he says his name all the time?" Which is pretty ironic of Ben to actually say, considering um, uh, considering Ben throughout the whole of Alien Force always said the names of the aliens that he transformed into. So it's kind of ironic that Ben asking that question. And Fruit the Pig is becoming a walking meme with his title saying of just like, you ate my father. So also as well, we get introduced to a new Galvin plumber called Lufley, which basically becomes the love interest of both Drebo and Bluken, until later on, when Fire decides to pick one of the two. And of course, with a title like this, it explains like exactly how Bluken and Drebo actually did make it to Earth, where they landed in Area 50, where they landed in Area 51, and they had also like they've had a crush on Lufley ever since they were tadpoles, and it's also because of Bluken and Drebo that it's the whole conspiracy of Max Max not Max of the famous Roswell UFO incident. So does that mean Bluken and Drebo are also the alien from the ET Atari 2600 video game? So yeah. Also, Max is one of the first few humans that Blue Can and Drebo actually came in contact with when they land when they land when they landed on Earth, and it's nice that we get to see a younger Max here, and I'm really hoping that at some point we do get that Max spin-off where
You still want that Max spinoff?
I still want the Max spin-off because it was talking about the Blue Cannon Dreamball Go to Area 51 episode. But I want to ask you, Tyler. I talked about the rooters of all evil and how I didn't like the reveal of like, oh, Kevin, your whole life's a lie. All those memories about your father being Max's partner, yeah, those were all false memories implanted, and you guys are not aliens. You're just humans with genetic DNA. I don't know how you feel, but I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that retcon either, especially since I feel like the Rooters arc still could have happened the exact way it did. Not to mention it invalidated people like Ragnarok and Agrigor.
Yeah. Also as well, I was gonna say, like, it kind of takes away like the investment we've had in Kevin and also the plumber kids.
Like, I think the reveal could have worked for the plumber kids.
I've said this, that it could have worked if it was like foreshadowed a little bit more. It just feels like it just feels like they wanted a twist for the sake of having a shocking twist. So yeah, that's really all I had to say about the Rooters of All Evil. It was basically about surrounding the whole retcon twist about Kevin not actually being an alien.
I do like Proctor Cervantes as a villain, and like the idea of the Rooters. That I like. It's just everything else surrounding it I don't like.
Fair enough. But yeah, I was talking about, then I got on to talking about Blue Cannon Dreamboat going to Area 51 and saying like it was nice that we got to see younger Max and how he is one of the first humans to actually come in contact with the Galvan species.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which again, I mean, who doesn't want a Max spin-off? Who doesn't want a Max spin-off like with him in his younger days, like finding out how he finding out like his old journey to becoming a plumber. Eventually, and I know exactly how it would end. How the Max spin-off would end. I've got it pictured in my head. The final scene is of him with Sandra seeing Ben being right after Ben has been born, and Max saying he's going to grow up to be a fine plumber one day. That's how it ends.
Honestly, I like that.
Yeah. So I would like that. Like, it doesn't have to be a long series as well. Just maybe like 2 seasons, 26 episodes. That would be, if we got that, I'd be happy. But yeah. So anyway, what did you think of the Blue Cannon Dreamboat Go to Area 51 episode?
It was a good episode. Kind of similar to their escapades when they went to Mr. Smoothie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did say that. As opposed to Argent, these guys are very pleasant to see every once in a while, and most of their episodes are enjoyable episodes. But speaking of characters that we haven't seen in a little bit of time since season 3 of Omniverse, we get into No Honor Among Bros, where we have the return of Fish Tricks.
Yep. And Rook gets fish. And it's in this episode where Rook becomes a dude, bro.
He becomes a dude, bro, because it's literally the fighting tournament episode. That is literally the whole episode.
Hmm?
Yeah. And the only worthy note about this episode is the worst species name is revealed to be an atrakeen. I believe that's how you pronounce Atrocian. Oh my! I just now got the reference to why he's called the worst. Atrocian, atrocious.
Yep. And he would speaking of the Atrocian, he was also able to withstand a he was also able to withstand a decent beating from Malice, who is an apoplexian.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also the lieutenant of Vex as well. Not our Vex, the Apoplexian Vex.
Apovexian.
Apoplexian Vex. I just love that now. Now that we can make. I'm surprised Vex has never done like that. Never done that at one point. Like, let me tell you something, Luke. just gone full on wrath on us.
But maybe watching this video will give them some motivation to do so.
Yeah. So Vex, you've got to go wrath on us at what? No, I know exactly when Vex is going to go all wrath on us. Let me tell you something, Tyler and Luke. Power Rangers RPM is more like what I feel like when it comes to what people feel like about Operation Overdrive. Yeah, because that's going to be a debate and a half when we get to recording the segment of Power Rangers RPM.
I'll say.
But now we get the consequence of Ben technically creating a new universe and killing everyone with Universe versus Tennyson. So anyway, this is all reference to the fact that when the universe was going to be destroyed, right at the beginning of Omniverse, and Ben asked Alien X like, "Hey, can we reset the universe?" They were like, "Okay, yeah, sure," and they recreate it. Like this is the episode where they address the consequences, which Tyler did allude to me that this was actually going to be addressed at one point, which thank God it has been. I am glad that it's finally come up.
Yeah, it's just weird that there were direct that happened all the way back in season 1. It's weird that they're only addressing it now in season 6. I don't know. Maybe news travels slow in the Forge of Creation. I don't fucking know.
Well, considering how far the Forge of Creation is from Earth, I mean, is it established like how far it actually is, or it actually is from Earth?
It's far as shit.
Yeah,
but...
so I'm gonna say it's that it would take. It'll be one of those cases where it would be like 500,000 light years away, which in the normal course of things, it would take probably, if we were going at like the speed we were going right now, it would take it several trillion years to reach it.
Yeah,
so it's probably still the news is probably still traveling fast, but it's still taking a long time, considering if the fortification really is trillions of years away from Earth.
In trillions of light years?
Yeah, trillions of light years, probably in a different universe. Or not a different universe, a different solar system, a different galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have a Galvan lawyer for fish tricks, and we also have a lawyer for Ben in this episode that is like, I am the best lawyer here. I always have my clients win. And we actually do get to see a hybrid in this episode as well, which is nice. Never thought we'd see one of those guys again.
I'll say.
Yeah.
But even though Ben gets found guilty, Chad Smith has Chad Smith, who is the lawyer of the character of the episode, invoke the Tetraman trial of combat.
So so basically, Ben has to fight against a character called Starbreed in his Alien X form.
Yep, he has to fight the Celestial Gladiator.
Yeah. And by the end of the episode, it's not Ben that's found guilty of unauthorized alteration of the universe. It's actually Serena and Bellacus that actually found guilty of the crime, which makes sense considering they're the ones who have to like agree. Like, we agree. We have to be in unison, a unanimous vote. It's like Ben really can't. If you really think about it, and I feel like this is why people call Alien X a disappointment. It's like, if it's Ben on his own, he really cannot do anything with Alien X.
Except for in this episode where he, for all intents and purposes, gets the keys to Alien X. As Serena and Bellacus just, I don't know, go off into some corner of Ben's mind and argue.
Yeah. It's like, can you, oh my God, can you imagine, like, what would they argue? I would honestly want to, you could just imagine them just arguing all day about just like the most petty of petty things. Like Serena, I've got it now. Serena would be arguing that Pokemon's the best because it has a character called Serena in it, and Bellacus would be arguing like, no, Digimon's better.
That would not be out of the realm of possibility for those two.
That is probably what they argue about. They're probably argue about like those petty things like, subs are better than dubs, dubs are better than subs, Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, Link Monsters ruined it. No, it was Pendulum Monsters that ruined it. It wouldn't surprise me to just like spend all their days just arguing about stuff like that. And also as well, we have a very fun meta joke in this episode about how Asmus' voice has changed 3 times.
Yep, because that example gets brought up because apparently, I guess Celestial Sapiens like to change the universe when they're bored.
Yeah, they do. So yeah, this was a pretty interesting episode. Nice to see that Ben's actions actually have legitimate consequences. That he has to like sometimes, hey, maybe you should be addressing these sort of things that you're doing, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But now moving on to the finale of season 6, Weapon 11. Which concludes the setup storyline of the Rooters by turning the plumber. They're called the Alagamon kids, but I'm going to call them what I've always been calling the plumber kids because honestly, plumber kids is a much better name.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Cervantes turning the plumber kids evil and convincing Kevin to join forces with the Rooters, and this is where we get the return of evil Kevin.
Yep, and we also see we also learn why Cervantes is doing what he does, and he's doing it because he thinks that Ben is completely and utterly irresponsible to be wielding, especially to be wielding the kind of power that comes with the Omnitrix.
Which he has no right to decide that. It was Asmith, for intents and purposes, made the choice, and he stuck by it for Ben. Because theoretically, Asmith, if Asmith did have that thought, he could take the Omnitrix away from Ben at any time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also as well, this is where we also get the debut Omniverse appearance of the rest of the Pumpkin Kids, Ellen, Manny, and Alan. But also, it alludes in this episode that Piers might actually still be alive somewhere.
Real? Did that happen? Because I.
Yeah, it apparently it says that. Oh no, sorry, that's my bad. I'm reading it wrong. I'm reading my notes wrong. Sorry, that was my
No worries.
bad. No, what it was that they say like, oh, if Ben had never found the Omnitrix, Kevin would have ended up in the Null Void, and Piers would have been alive, and Alan, Helen, and Maddie would have still been regular humans. Which I don't. Which I mean, they do have a point. They do have a point there, but at the same time, Kevin, when he was introduced, still wasn't really that good of a kid to begin with.
It's just that. I know, like, he burned down their house, but like, I can't imagine like he'd have. Well, for an 11-year-old, he had a lot of control over his powers, but I don't know. Maybe the house burning down was an accident.
Maybe.
I can't imagine like a young child, especially a young child, having that kind of control over those powers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair enough. But also, as well, we have the first mention of Ben being the coming storm in this episode. And this leads us rightfully into part two of Weapon X. Overall, I feel like this is a solid two-parter. Two-part. The root of storyline, well controversial. I'm glad it didn't stick around all that much. Yeah, but I feel like this is an example of one of the storylines that could have been cut to make way for more episodes focusing on Ben and Kai's relationship. Like, because then you wouldn't have had the controversial retcon, and you could have still been like, and you could have still had moments like, oh yeah, this actually does make sense now why Kai and Ben end up together. But I digress. With the second part, we have Kevin sort of maybe turning on the group, despite the fact that Ced and Gwen are there to like, hey, come back to us, Kevin. And of course, RJ has to be there because of course he has to be there. He always has to be there.
He was involved with the Rooters.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, RJ, can't you just go away for 5 minutes? But yeah, we also get the return of Kevin Chimera. I still love saying that. I still love calling Kevin that whenever he turns into multiple aliens. I still love calling him Kevin Chimera.
Yep. We actually kind of see in the entirety of Weapon 11, we see two different mutations.
Mm-hmm.
One mutation of Kevin involving back when he was 12, and the Rooters were just starting up. That had Ben's aliens out. Basically, the aliens Ben had outside of the original 10, and then the present Omniverse mutation, which had all of his Omniverse aliens and Shock Squatch.
Yeah, yeah, and it's eventually revealed in this episode that Kevin never really switched sides. He was playing the rooters the whole time because the bot the bond between the bond that he has between Ben and Gwen is too strong for him to actually rejoin the rooters.
Mm-hmm.
So
Also,
yeah, oh, go ahead.
Also, not to mention, he was actually able to like fight against the insanity that plagued him in the classic series and Ultimate Alien.
Yeah, so it's great. It's a great spin on that. Like he's he's able to finally get control over his mutated form without having to go completely insane. So yeah, the plumber kids are all released from Savanta's mind control, and this is where they put the curb stomp on the rooters by officially declaring you are not plumbers anymore, and sending them back into the null void.
Yep, it's also here where we meet essentially the head honcho of the plumbers, the Magistrata.
Mm-hmm. The Magistrate. Who is I was trying to find the note that I had on them. Yeah, I do love the fact that their nickname is Maggie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that is pretty cool. So is the Magistrata like the female name for like the head of the plumbers?
Yeah, the male name is the Magistratus.
All right. Oh, cool. Because doesn't Max become like the head of the plumbers in the future?
Yeah, he becomes the Magistratus.
Yeah, which again, good on you, Max, for getting that title. But but a nice touch for this two parts that part one was actually co-written by Dwayne McDuffie's widow Charlotte McDuffie. So it was nice that that Dwayne McDuffie's wife was actually involved with the writing of Omniverse.
Yeah, in fact, she was involved with the series, like I think as far back as Alien Force.
Yeah, she wrote Alone Together, Unearthed, Don't Fear the Reaper, and Primus from Alien Force. Shame. It would have been interesting to see because there was never one she did with her husband, so it would have been interesting to see what an episode they could have written together would have turned out like. Yeah, but yeah, that was the finale to season 6. Overall, not as good as series 5, but still pretty enjoyable all around.
Yeah, I personally feel like there's a lot that that I feel like this was a very ambitious season. And especially with the rooters.
Yeah, it was a risky season. Like you said, with the rooters, and I don't feel like it did pay off in the way that they intended. I feel like they intended it to be like a really big twist for Kevin's character. But this wasn't like I'm gonna compare it to Mac from Operation Overdrive when it was revealed like Mac is an android. I feel like what would have helped most of all is that if Kevin became more pretty much bordering suicidal tendencies, like what with Mac had. Like his whole life has been a lie, and he was like, well, what's the point of me even being here if I even don't know myself? Kind of like have an identity crisis.
That would be interesting, but I don't. If this, I gotta say this again. If this were any other season, I think that might have been the road they went. But because of the direction they want that they wanted to take Omniverse, or that the network wanted Omniverse to take, they couldn't do that.
Yeah, I do get the feeling like the whole. I get the feeling that it just screams to me like this was probably corporate meddling.
Ben 10 has quite generally had a bad history with corporate meddling.
Yeah, considering the writer of this episode, Len, the writer of that episode, Len Unley, has been involved since Alien Force. So and has actually written some pretty good episodes. Like he wrote the episode that introduces Wrath. So, so I get the feeling that it just feels like he wrote the episode, but then the higher ups were like, you need to add this in for Kevin.
Yeah. I mentioned this before, but like Omniverse was meant to be a lot more comedic in tone.
Yeah.
And it was meant to bring in more kids to the audience of Ben 10.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. But you might be right. But I feel like it could have they could have still done that, but not had it, but had it in a way that goes against like what has already been established.
Yeah, I know. Like there was going around that like the stuff in Alien Force was actually a retcon.
Hmm.
Like the whole stuff about Kevin being an alien, and Omniverse was de-retconning the retcon. But like there's nothing that like in the classic series that says that like that Alien Force was a retcon. I mean, hell, there's more because it was said that Kevin was originally meant to be a mutant, but that never made it pen to paper. That'd be like have you watched Breaking Bad?
I've seen. I've got like I'm literally pointing to the DVD box set, but I have yet to watch it all the way through.
Oh,
but I am aware of it.
well, apparently the character Jesse Pinkman was supposed to die like early on in the season, but they decided to keep him around.
Mm-hmm.
But that decision never made pen to paper.
Right.
That was just something that was left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. And yeah. So again, whatever the reason, it was still probably one of the worst retcons that the series has ever done. But anyway, moving on to season 7, we're near the end, Tyler. Beginning with Ben 10. No, sorry, Clyde 5. I honestly love this alternate opening. I do. It just makes me laugh of just like Clyde coming in and just hijacking the Ben 10 opening. And we also have in this episode the return of Amphira, which, oh my god, why did Amphira need to come back?
Why not?
Yeah, but with Clyde, who is another relative of Ben, his country cousin. So this begs the question: who is Clyde's mother?
Clyde's mom, probably Vera's daughter.
Right. So, and Vera's Max's sister. So
Yeah.
So then it would be Sandra's sibling.
It'd be Sandra's cousin.
So basically, Clyde is Ben's cousin once removed. Then.
Sure.
Yeah, let's just go with that. Like, it's still his cousin anyway. Like the Tennysons just have this whole army of cousins. Like, imagine if there was like an army of like Tennyson cousins that had Omnitrixes.
Oh,
but yeah,
God.
but yeah, Amphira comes to the plumber HQ on Earth, trying to be like, "Hey, Clyde, you need to go to the plumber academy." And Clyde's like, "I don't want to go to the plumber academy."
Actually, he does want to go to the plumber academy, and he was kind of like shadowing Ben and Rook.
Yeah, yeah, and by shadowing, I mean like, "Hey, what does this button do? Hey, what does that button do? Hey, what does this do? Hey, what does that do?" And even when he gets hold of the watch that Liam has, which is a dangerous beam hand weapon, he becomes obsessed with trying everything about it. Which, to be fair, if you got like an alien object that could do things, it's like, I guess you would want to try every button yourself. But at the same time, it's like, read the manual before touching anything.
Yep, and we see what Clyde picks up was made by Inspector 13, a Mark V nanoshift enabled exo armor.
Just rolls right off your tongue.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So also known I guess what Clyde calls it helps it to be a bit more digestible. The Chinkle tricks or Chinkle tricks. But yeah. Anyway, the army gets
tricks.
The Cinco tricks. Yeah, Cinco tricks. That may that does make a lot of sense. Okay. Mrs. Fi is his mother and unnamed father Oh no! It would be it's his second cousin. It's their second cousin. Clyde's the second cousin. But yeah, the army gets is pretty damn cool. I'll give Clyde that one thing is the army gets is pretty damn cool.
I'll say. Unfortunately, he won't get to enjoy it for long because Inspector 13 invents a remote control to manipulate the exo armor.
Yeah. So Clyde has virtually no control over it, despite Max saying like, stop it, Clyde. Stop it, Clyde. It's like, I don't know how to stop it. And by the end of the episode, because Max has been so focused on work, he's like, Vera, just go away. It's like, I'm not a child anymore. So I do like that. Like, despite them being like nearly, despite them both being in their 60s, they still have those sibling tendencies to be like, oh, Maxie, oh, you're such a. It's like, can you just stop that now? We're not kids anymore.
Oh yeah, and there's also a Thunder Pig who thinks Clyde's a wizard because he's able to subdue Liam.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And yeah, by the end of the episode, Ben compliments Clyde for his actions because Clyde's able to put Liam to sleep with the armor, and Vera's just like, yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't treat you like a kid anymore, Max. Yeah, this is where Clyde obviously decides, like, hey, I'm going to the Plumber Academy to learn cool moves like Rook, and he's keeping his Cinco tricks as he'll need it just in case. But of course, we'll never see Clyde again.
And this time we actually mean it.
Yeah, we actually mean it. We're like, never again. But yeah, Clyde as a character is like, no. He's a big fish in a small pond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But now we're moving on to the far more interesting episode, Rook Tales. Because seriously, you had to do it. You had to do it. So yeah, this is the classic old versus new, the mentor versus the student episode, because we have Rook going up against his former teacher, who is very traditional. He is like you want to talk about like most ultimate traditionalist, never can grasp anything new. Look no further than Kundo, Rook's former teacher, because in the episode, Rook's sister is heading off to attend the Plumber Academy, but Kundo's like, no, you got to stay here. You got to stay on the planet. You're not going to be doing another Rook. To the point that not only Kudon is like, okay, if you're going, then I'm going to force you back by stowing away on the ship. But also, Young stows away as well, and this is where we also get introduced to one of Max's old
reintroduced, because he was
reintroduced to one of Max's old rivals, Kyle.
No, it's a Sheriff Watson.
Oh, Sheriff Watson. So I don't know why I put down did I put down Kyle?
Kyle is like the brother to like some background character.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, the whole point of this episode is Rook trying to prove to his mentor that hey, there are more efficient ways to lead a life than just being a traditionalist. But of course, stubborn mentor being stubborn mentor, to the point that he killed Ben's smoothie. No one kills Ben's smoothies.
And now's a good time to mention that Master Kundo isn't some Ravana Gandharamish. He is a practitioner of the martial art called Ravana Kai. And he's the one who taught Rook and Shar everything they know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. I get where I kind of get where he's coming from. The fact that he just doesn't he wants them to like just be the old ways. But at the same time, it's like, surely you should listen to your students' point of view. Like, you get the feeling that Kudon has not been off the planet all that much.
until Rook left, nobody had been off-world.
Yeah.
It was seen as taboo.
Yeah. So you would think that whenever Rook comes back, to the planet and just sees like, hey, I'm doing well for myself. I've made new friends out there. So we've got a golden opportunity here. You'd think that there would be more people open to listening to Rook, because it's like he's living proof that he's living proof that it can be done. But nope. Kudo's like, no, we all no, our way or the highway or the highway, and to the point that like he hates technology, but he takes it one step further to the fact that I am gonna essentially kill people who don't agree with us. Yeah. Also as well. We cannot mention this episode without mentioning the obvious Pokemon reference when Max and Sheriff Watson Sheriff Watson capture a Gyarados and a Magikarp.
Yeah. We also have a bit of a side plot with Young One being upset the fact that he still has his Bintok or his tail, because basically a Ravanagander's tail doesn't fall off until they hit puberty, and and despite being around that age, it still hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, until the end of this episode, where he finally loses his tail and he gets to actually choose what his name is going to be, and he chooses, and probably like the biggest honor that Ben is going to get in his life, he chooses his name. He chooses to name himself Rook Ben after Ben himself.
Yep, and it's also here where we learn that Ben actually has a grandfather named Ben.
Well, a great-great-grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Max's grandfather was called Ben. So I like to, again, this wants me to believe that the Max spin-off, it's gonna have Max's grandfather showing up if we ever do get it. We get Ben Tennyson before we get Ben Tennyson as Max's grandfather version, see what he's like, and it would be pretty funny if he's a combination of Ben 10,000 as well as teenage Ben.
Yeah,
like he's super badass, but he enjoys chili fries and a smoothie. So yeah, pretty good episode, and nice wrap up for Young One's character. I guess now we should just call him Rook Ben. Yeah. So pretty good character focus episode for all around. Yeah. And it would have been interesting to see more of Rook Ben, but what we got was pretty cool, and it was nice to see Ben actually have someone that will have an off-worlder who actually idolized him, as opposed to other off-worlders like the Simple episode. You remember that episode?
Yeah.
Where that off-worlder asked Ben for help and then blamed him for everything by the end. Yeah. But anyway, episode 3 of season 7, Charm School. So this is where we get the return of Hex, who we haven't seen since the first series. Or no, he was in Alien Force and Ultimate Alien. But it's been a while since we've seen him. So it's revealed that Hex is back teaching at Gwen's school, which is kind of ironically interesting if you really think about it, considering what they went through in the classic series. That Ben, Gwen, and Max went up against Hex on more than one occasion, and now it's like, oh yeah, now Hex is actually teaching, and of course, because it's Hex, Ben is going to be suspicious of him, considering, well, it's Hex.
Yeah, and he's tried to kill Ben on more than one occasion.
Yeah, but not only that, we also have Charmcaster in the class as well. So it's like, yeah, what are these two up to? It's like we've got two of our former enemies in the same room together. What are they up to, Gwen? But Gwen's trying to convince them, like, no, Hex has changed. Hex has changed.
Yeah. We also learned that Charmcaster is actually after the Staff of Ages, and is looking for its location.
Yeah, which God, I wonder where it could be. It couldn't be right under their noses the whole time. But I do like Kevin's self-awareness in this episode with Ben destroying his car. Because it's like, how many times has that car been destroyed?
Too many times.
Yeah, to the point that literally Kevin has to pull out the effing proof shield for his car. Basically, go ahead.
Yeah, basically it's just Kevin and Rook modifying Kevin's car to a point where where it is indestructible to anything.
And when we say anything, we do mean anything at this time.
Except for magic.
Yeah, except for magic. Yeah, everything proof car until car is magicked away to an unknown location. Like, again, I could just imagine, like, there's some weird fan fiction out there of just like Kevin being in love with his car, because it's gone to the point where that car is one step away from having, I don't know what would be like the car equivalent of a wedding ring or an engagement ring.
Oh,
like, yeah. So anyway, by the end of this episode, we have it being revealed like, no, Hex really has turned over a new leaf and is just trying to have a new life, and it's turned into a totem by Charmcaster. So now Charmcaster has three people in her possession. But not only that, Professor Sagliv has a crush on Hex.
I mean, personally, I don't blame her. I mean, what?
Yeah. Which, okay, fair enough. They would make a cute couple together. However weird it would be. So yeah, really good to see Hex again, and really nice to see him in a different light now. Like, now that he's put all of his evil past behind him. So anyway, now we get on to the episode that I surprisingly didn't think I would enjoy as much as I did, but at the same time, nice to see the grumpy old Git has finally has something else that he can take his mind off take his mind off Ben for more than 5 minutes with the Ballad of Mr. Bowman. When it's with Bowman. Bowman. So yeah. In this episode, we get flashbacks with Ben and Mr. Bowman, or let's just call him Dennis and Mr. Wilson. It's like, Dennis Tennyson! To the point that literally Mr. Bowman has a Ben ledger. So like, right, how much have you damaged off me today, Ben? Like, oh, this is going in your ledger. Oh, it's not looking good, kid. But this is where we feel that not only has Max been banging aliens since before Ben was born, but so has Mr. Bauman. It wouldn't surprise me if oh my god, this is where like all Ben 10 is like the ultimate conspiracy theory of like everyone on Earth is a reptilian. If it turns that like so many aliens are coming down from coming down to Earth and like the men are just banging them. So yeah, and of course we have we have the return of Volcanus coming to ruin Mr. Bauman's night with his girlfriend Selena, because it turns out that Selena cannot stay out of water because she's a fish alien hybrid sort of thing. So yeah, and the only way that they can actually be together is that they get once every 5 years they get to spend some time together. By the end of the season, I think that's pretty. By the end of like the whole entire of Omniverse, that's pretty much thrown out the window because we see a future with them, with them out of the water. So yeah. This episode really nice to see Mr. Bauman get some happy moments as opposed to being like the recurring joke of like, oh, Ben destroying something of his. So really nice, thoughtful episode. So yeah, moving on to episode. What episode is it again? Is it episode 5? Fight at the museum, where we have the return of Kai as well as Esther, because Kai is here, giving artifacts to a museum, and Ben's just like, oh, great, yeah, great museums, like, oh, boring. And this is where we get introduced to a new alien recurring character for the rest of the series called Subdora, who is the love interest of Exoskull. So yeah, Exoskull finally got some love, which I didn't think it was something that I would need to see, but hey, here we are. Rhino guy meets with comedian girl. Who would have thunk it? And of course, we have Spanner returning this episode. They still have no idea what it is, who he is, and they still think it's actually Jimmy. But this is where we get the reveal of who Spanner actually is. But there is something else that's confusing here. It's like, why does it take Ben a long time to acknowledge Jimmy? Because Jimmy just stands there for a while in the background until Ben is just like, "Oh, hi, Jimmy, can you help us here?" So yeah, where this is where we find out like who Spanner actually is. He is actually Ben's son, because how do we know this? Because he says, he slips calling Ben dad. That's how you know, like, oh yeah, he's Ben's son. And again, this is what we were saying about like how Spanner is kind of like a blank slate character, which is kind of a shame considering who he actually ends up being. Like, he ends up being the son of Ben and Kai. And again, this was one of our like we say, this was one of our major problems with Ben 10 Omniverse, is that it's pretty much established that Ben ends up with Kai, by the end of this episode, like there's the Spanner Returns to the Future where Kai and Ben are married, are married together with Spanner as their son, even though they don't realize it is their son at first. So yeah, we really could have used more of this build up between Ben and Kai, especially for the rest of the entire of Omniverse. They spend most of it arguing with each other, and it's like not every not every relationship needs to start off with people arguing all the time. It's like, yeah, that creates conflicts, but at the same time, it's like if you keep doing it every single episode, you're gonna wonder, like, how on earth did these two ever get together? So yeah, an okayish episode, but at the same time, not one I'm entirely keen on. So anyway, moving on to episode 6, Breakpoints, where we lit where as Wildfire, Ben goes undercover with an alien crime syndicate run by Fish Tricks and it's tempted by their extreme lifestyle. So yeah, this is essentially the episode where Ben goes undercover to try and infiltrate Fish Tricks group, and we also in this episode get the reveal of Mustache's name, basically the alien that Ben turns into, which is a mole with a super powerful mustache. So yeah, again, an episode that I wasn't really too keen on, because it was just essentially Ben infiltrating Fish Tricks group, and that was literally all it is. Like Ben as aliens trying to fit in and be like, hey, you want to be part of our gang, you gotta do evil stuff. And also we get the epicness that is the flying mustache. How? Why? I don't know. But anyway, now we're moving on to, I don't know, would this be my least favorite episode of Ben 10 Omniverse? Yeah, I think it might actually be. I think it might actually be my least favorite episode of Omniverse. The color of Monkey, because we have two of the worst characters. I don't care what the writers say about RJ. He is one of the worst characters in the whole of the Ben 10 franchise. But what's worse than one of the worst characters being in this episode, having him team up with another one of the worst characters, Simeon. Yes, this is the episode where we have Arjit taking on Simeon as a shady sidekick in a new business venture, which is Arjit's Security Inc., which is essentially Arjit providing security for anyone that can afford it. And yeah, yeah, and it's about and literally throughout the whole episode, Archer is like, hey, I don't trust you. Simeon is like, hey, I don't trust you, and I wouldn't trust Arjit with a pair of socks. That's how much I hate Arjit. I wouldn't trust him with a pair of socks. But I will say it was kind of funny to see Simeon pulling a techno drone on a leash and deliver it to Roger. Yeah, we have Roger in this episode, who I believe this might actually be her first reappearance since Ultimate Alien. Yeah, first reappearance. So we had in one episode of Ultimate Alien, and now we're getting her back again. Again, it just seems like throwing like every character that they can think of into Omniverse, especially since like we're going to be wrapping up soon, because at the end of one of the last episodes we had the final boss of Alien Force, not Alien Force, of Omniverse, the one voiced by Mark Hamill, which was at the end of the fight of the museum episode, Maltruant, who is voiced by the legendary Mark Hamill. So, and funny enough, Mark Hamill will be showing up when we get to talking about Avatar, considering he's the voice of Fire Lord Osai. So it is pretty cool that we got Mark Hamill voicing one of the final villains of the classic of the original Ben 10 Prime timeline. That is pretty cool. And also the fact that he's a dark clockwork, that's also pretty cool as well. So yeah, anyway, really did not like the Color of Monkey. It was just RJ and Simeon being sneaky and being tricksters and being absolute pieces of crap. But still, it could be worse. We could have to deal with the Fritos. Why do we have to deal with the Fritos again? Why do we have to deal with the Fritos again? What's worse is that Sandra is still friends with Marfredo. It's like, Sandra, do you know this?
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with Sandra being friends with Marfredo?
It's Marfredo, Tyler. It's Marfredo. Also, I did do the 3 episodes prior to getting to this one.
I actually forgot I was muted.
Oh right, you forgot. So what were you going to say about those episodes?
It was you did Fight at the Museum, which
yeah,
I don't like the fact that they're forcing that Ben and Kai are destined to be together.
Yeah, and I did mention that, especially when they constantly start fighting after this point in every moment that they can get their hands on.
Yeah, but I do like Subdora and Exo Skull.
Oh yeah. They're a classic duel, and also as well we get Maltruant in this episode as well.
Breakpoint was only okay. Same thing with Color of Monkey.
I really don't like Color of Monkey, just for the fact that it's RJ and Simeon, two of the worst characters in the franchise together.
I think I don't like Simeon because he's basically discount Arjit, but I've said this before, I'll say it again. I like Arjit. He's a rapscallion. He's not a good person, but he has a charisma about him that makes him fun to watch.
I just can't stand him. I really just like it's the kind of hatred that Vex has for Phineas in Mystic Force. Like every time I see RJ, I just want to punch him in his stupid snout nose face. And I love like the synopsis on the wiki is like everyone's favorite alien command RJ. I really want to just edit the wiki to say except Lasher Luke's. Except Lash and Luke. But yeah, seriously, did we really need the family drama of the Fritos? Did we honestly need the family drama of the Fritos?
If it makes you feel better, this is the last time we're going to be seeing the Fritos.
Yeah. The only fun thing I can find about the Fritos is that they're all named after shapes. Like the Fritos, like one of the Fritos sisters is Isosceles right triangle Frito. Like that is like one of the funniest names ever. But yeah. The Marfredo episode, like literally, my first note for this is why?
MCA.
MCA. Also, why is Phil Gax in this episode as well? Like, what is the point of him?
Be- uh, remember Mauve Riedel's the same person that made Vilgax cry?
Oh god, yeah. Like, is that ever explained? Like, what did Mark Friedel do to make Phil Gax cry?
It's never explained.
Never explained. But the one thing that we did notice that was noted about this episode is that when Ben turns into Accelerate, it's the Ben 23 form, and I feel like that was done intentionally, considering what the finale of Series 7 is.
Or like, they accidentally got some of the animation stuffs mixed up.
No, I think it was done intentionally because it seems like way too much of a coincidence. Like the episode right after the Free Dawn episode is the finale of Series 7 when it's a mad Ben world part 1 and 2, and we do get the return of Ben 23.
Yep, because Azimuth from Universe 23 is sick of the Bieber knockoff and sends him over to Ben Prime to hopefully have him learn something.
Yeah. And Ben 23 is like, what do I have to learn from him? It's the classic thing of like any version of Ben that shows up tends to not get. Have you noticed that like a lot of the Bens that show up don't tend to get along well with each other?
Yeah.
And again, I'm gonna say it like the names that Ben 23 comes up with again suck, like Vomit Man, Speedy Quick, Toolbox, Techno Bubble. It's like, seriously? But yeah, this two-parter is basically what happens if Ben went evil and took over, basically became a dictator. That is basically what this whole two-parter is. Ben being an alternate version of Ben being a dictator. Yeah. So who is called Mad Ben, who we did see first in the last Ben multi-part of Ben crossover. So it was cool to see him here and to see him in all his glory. And it was nice to see a different side, a different version of Rook here, of like how Rook in a mad world would actually act.
Hmm.
Yeah. Also, as well, Mad. Oh my god! I finally got it. I've just finally got it. It's a mad Ben world. It's a desert world. Mad Ben has an Australian. It's Mad Max.
I'm surprised you haven't gotten that sooner.
I only just realised that because of the fact that he had an Australian accent. So that's where it clicked with me. But yeah. So at the beginning of the episode, that both Ben and Ben 23 are playing Sumo Slammer to the point that a lot of rubbish and trash is piled up. It's like, how long have they been playing Sumo Slammer for it to get that piled up?
A lot.
Yeah. But also in this episode, it's kind of the episode where Ben has to team up with Siphon. Was it Siphon?
No, Dr. Psychobos.
Dr. Psychobos. Because it turns out that Dr. Psychobos is working with Malturant, but he ends up getting stuck with Ben and Ben 23. So it's like, okay, we don't want to be in this situation. but we have to be in this situation. And to be fair, they do work well well as a team under the circumstances. And another. Okay, I will admit Ben's 23 name for Humongousaur is an okayish name. Dino Mighty. That is an okay name.
I concur.
Yeah. So we have Clockwork fusing with Techno Bubble to who is upgrade to create which gives them a blue color scheme, which is a pretty interesting color scheme for Clockwork. Like, I don't know, what do you think of like the blue Clockwork color scheme?
I like the blue Clockwork.
Yeah. Yeah, so it turns out that all of this is just a ploy for Maltruant to be restarting the Time War, which has been referenced a few times in Omniverse, but now we're finally actually going to get into it. And of course, we can't talk about this episode without talking about the Wyatt Derek Crane. Obvious reference to one of the writers of Omniverse.
Yep. Well, art director actually.
Art director, which didn't he pass away recently?
Yeah, he passed away in 2021.
Yeah, rest in peace, Derek Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, by the end of the two-parter, Mad Rook turns on Mad Ben, and Psychobus tries and fails to destroy the Omnitrix, and Mad Ben is arrested. So everything all works out for the Mad Dimension.
Yep.
So, yeah, that is the end of season 7. I would say this is probably a step up from season 6, but I wouldn't say it's on par with season 5.
Personally, I find season 7 kind of okay, because like aside from the Mad Ben world, like there's nothing really like that captures me. Except for my ironic enjoyment of Riddlemania. And I do mean ironic.
Okay, fair enough. But now, we're on to the final season, Tyler. Season 8. Yep. Starting off with From Herodom to Eternity, which is mainly focused primarily on it's mostly a flashback episode.
Yep. We're
going back to the past, where we not only have Ben and Gwen, but we also have cousin
Lucy.
Cousin Lucy. Yeah, sorry, I got my words tangled up. Cooper makes his first reappearance. Not voiced now by Chris Pratt, but voiced by Eric Busan, who also voices Eric Bowser, sorry, who also voices Diamond Head and Grey Matter, and Ripjaw, who does a lot of the aliens in Omniverse. So yeah, and also we have a one-off friend in Jonesy.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's all about them just investigating this haunted house 5 years prior to the present day as well. So this is pretty much confirming that this is in the Ben 11 timeline.
Yeah, in this episode, Ben is 11, And actually, we see Kevin again out of the null void.
Yeah. So Kevin's out of the null void by this point. But here's something that really is confusing to me. I mean, I guess it kind of works, but Mr. Bellman doesn't believe in ghosts, despite the fact it's scary. Despite the fact he's seen aliens, like he knows aliens exist. He doesn't believe in ghosts. Yeah, I don't get that. People that people can. Oh yeah, we've seen aliens, but we're not going to believe in ghosts. It's like you can't have one and not the other. But the thing that tips Max off that something is wrong that I love the fact that the thing that actually gets Max thinking like, okay, yeah, something is wrong. Mr. Bellman being nice to Ben.
Yeah,
I love that. And also in this episode we have Sasuke being the antagonist again. It's nice to have him back for one last episode. It's kind of like tease for what's to come, because it turns out that he's the one behind all the events that are going on in the spooky house, because of course it's him. It's Sasuke. It's Sasuke. And of course, Ben is able to defeat him by the end of the episode, and he and I've got to admit, this is him boasting about destroying the evil pot by Sasuke. Yeah, he deserves it. And this is where we get like pretty much confirmation that foreshadowing that Gwen and Kevin actually have a thing for each other. Which again obviously comes into play when they become teenagers. So yeah, really honestly, aside from seeing Scare again, I see Cooper again, and also getting more of seeing Ben 11 and Kevin 11 and Gwen 11. I don't really
Kevin's
have more.
12.
Oh, Kevin's 12. Oh yeah, Kevin's a year older than them. But I really don't have many other notes for this episode. Yeah. Now with the next episode, Stuck on You, we have the introduction of a new main character 9 episodes before the end of the series.
Yep.
What in the form of Skirt, who is this parasitic goop-like alien who sticks to Ben's Omnitrix. So initially he's working for Kyber, but then joins forces with Ben after Kyber goes berserk and turns into Raptor Kyber. So the whole thing with Skirt is that he confused himself with the aliens that Ben turns into to give him essentially a power boost. Yeah. What do you think of Skirt as a character?
Let's be honest. Skirt is a gimmick to sell toys.
He really is. He really is. He's one of those characters where you feel like, why was he added in here? He does feel like he does feel like the literal definition of a shoehorned in character.
He exists to sell toys.
He exists to sell toys, and that's his only purpose.
Yeah,
I mean, he does have some funny quips, but overall, there's really nothing to the character.
Yeah. I mean, I do like what he does. What Skirt can do is he can like take some alien DNA from the Omnitrix and like apply it to the situation.
Yeah, that's that's a pretty cool thing about him, but that's really the only cool thing about him.
Yeah.
Um, and really, honestly, this episode was just to like introduce him and get us to know, like, oh my god, he's going to be around for the rest of the series. Um, now with episode 3, I've got to do. Let's do the time war again. And I do. The reason why I feel like I love this series a lot is because we get a lot of paradox in this series. Which you got. If you know me, you know I love paradox. I love it every time he shows up.
In other news, sky's green, the sky's blue, grass is green, and I like pizza.
And Chris McLean is a douchebag. So yeah, they knew. I put. They knew what they were doing with this title. So yeah. One of my first note was Rook didn't turn into Kevin when talking about your ride being your ride. No. This was it. No, I know what this note was about because Rook's bike gets destroyed in something. My bike, and I was like, Rook, you're turning into Kevin when you say that because it's like that's kind of something Kevin would say. About his car. My ride. So my question for this. Did Exoskeleton, did Exoskull and Subdoor do it?
I'd rather not think about alien coitus.
Yeah. Yeah. And with this whole episode is a time loop episode. Like they're all going back in time to kind of like, okay, we've got this threat that's going on here. We need to change it around. So we get Eon, being involved in this part. We get Ben 10,000 and Paradox, and they're all stuck in a time loop, and they're getting Ben from different points in the time loop to be like, okay, this is how we're going to correct everything here, because we have these. We have Eon hatching these creatures known as time beasts who basically dissolve anything they touch, which to go back to Dot 2 a bit, it's very reminiscent of Sutek's Breath of Death, because in Dot 2, Sutek's breath literally turns people to bones, ash, and it literally turns them to sand, and that's very similar to what the time beasts do in this episode. So that's where I got. That was the thing I picked up on. We also get a very interesting fusion in this episode of Jerry Rig and Uprig, which is probably one of my favorite fusions in the entire Ben 10 franchise. No small part to the fact that it involves upgrade.
In fact, very big part because it involves upgrade.
Very, very big part because it involves upgrade.
Speaking of big, we also have Big Chuck, fusion of Upchuck and Way Big, as well as Crash Shocker, a combination of Crash Hopper and Shock Squatch.
Yep. So pretty cool fusions from Ben 10,000 in this episode, and also like one of the most impressive feats, impressive feats with Gravitack and the Black Hole.
I'll probably say this. Probably yeah. Oh, actually, it is one of Gravitack's greatest feats. The fact that he causes a black hole. Not so good for the residents of Bellwood, though.
No, but good for people who want to like debate the feats of Ben 10.
Yeah.
Compared to some other Death Battle characters. But one of the things I had to make note of here, Rook's faith in humanity is restored because Ben knew a bit about Einstein's theory of relativity from Sumo Slammer. That's the thing that restores Rook's faith in humanity. Wow. And of course, because Mel Truant is the one behind everything in this season, Eon is working for him. So yeah, this was a pretty cool episode. Loved seeing Ben 10,000. Loved seeing Paradox. Really, really interesting way of how they got around the time loop here, and very cool fusions.
I'll
So
say.
yeah, now moving on to episode 4, The Secrets of Don Santos, where we have Ben and Rook joining forces again with Kai, and of course we have to have Kai and Ben arguing, because of course that's how it works when people get together. They have to argue all the time. But yeah, the reason why is because they're helping her uncover a relic in South America. And it turns out that the actual city that they're actually in is a arrow pointing to where the artifact is.
And it's also here where Kai actually kisses Ben.
Yep, the first kiss from them, even though they probably didn't want it. So it turns out that the artifact is being protected by a guardian temple. It turns out to be a Galvin that Paradox actually put there. And what was the name of the Galvin again? What was his name?
I think it was
Ujin.
Yeah, Ujin.
Ujin. Ojin. No, it's pronounced Ojin, not Ujin. Ojin. So the temple as well was also a ploy of dealing with Maltruant. And I do love that we get Spanish wrath here.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you said someone in your server would have to translate what Wrath is actually saying here.
Yeah.
So yeah. I feel like we'll have to get a call with them and like, hey, what is he actually saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Most of this episode, well, it was nice to see Paradox again. Most of this episode was them trying to push more of the Kai Ben relationship, and it's like, why? Oh, it's Destiny, Luke. It's Destiny, Luke. Yeah, well, in the words of Kyber from Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, fuck Destiny.
Also, apparently, the Galvin in this episode, Ujin, is named after Ben 10 writer Eugene's son.
Ah, interesting. But yeah, really, Secret of Don Santos. An okay episode, but nowhere near as good as Time War again, and especially third time's the charm, which focuses on the final conflict with Charmcaster in the classic timeline. Because
Yep.
I alluded to earlier in the video that Charmcaster gets a fate worse than death, and yeah, this is the episode that it actually happens in, because because the episode starts off with Lucky Girl finding a Minotaur. It turns out to be a one big Scooby Doo reference, because I would have gone away with it if I had you for you meddling Lucky Girl. Also, Kevin's eyes in this episode sparkling. That is wrong on so many levels. Yeah. So, go ahead.
Not to mention, we find out what happened to Kevin's car in not third time's the charm. It's the last Charmcaster episode.
Yeah, Charmed, I'm sure.
No, not that one. The other one.
No, Hex School. Was it Hex? Where is it? Charm School.
Yeah, Charm School.
Yeah, we find out where it actually went to.
Yep, it ended up in Ledger Domain.
Because of course it did, because it's Charmcaster. Um, and Charmcaster practically pawns Gwen in this episode because it's like she's able to capture Gwen in one of her totems and put her in the pocket dimension where she has all the other characters that she's captured over the last few seasons. And also, Charmcaster is looking for a wizard called Bitsoul. Well, all throughout the episode, we see this janitor who's just walking around everywhere. And gee, I wonder who Bitsoul is. It's
Bazelle.
the Bazelle. But serious, it's the janitor. It's the janitor because of course it is. But
And he's voiced by Tom Kenny.
yeah, for which is pretty cool as well. But he tries to play it off as like, I don't really know much magic. So pick a card, any card. But I do love that. That's one of the things that gets Ben interested. Like Ben has seen real magic before, but he's like, but the card trick.
A classic case of misdirection.
Yeah, a classic case of misdirection, and especially a classic case here because after Charmcaster takes over Gwen's headquarters, which were originally Hex's headquarters, she evolves into a higher form, a dragon. Charmcaster turns into a dragon in this episode.
I need to tell an Arbor.
Yeah, you need to tell an Arbor that. Hey, there's a wizard that turned. Hey, there's a witch who turns into a dragon in this episode, and we have a pretty intense battle with Charmcaster even before she goes into the dragon form, and it's very creative with the way that they trick Charmcaster because they trick her by having her turn Bitcell into a totem, but this was all part of the plan, and she ends up having her own magic be used against her by trapping her in her magic bag as a totem, basically stuck there for all eternity now. So yeah, Charmcaster is never getting out of that bag. Can't say the same for the others who eventually are all freed from Charmcaster's control. So Michael, Hex, Arjuna, blah 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 blah. Adwager and Gwen are all free of Charmcaster's bag at this point.
Which might be a bad thing, at least for Darkstar and Adwager, because Darkstar and Adwager.
Yeah, it's them. Yeah, it's Darkstar and Adwager. Although I feel like at some point off screen, Darkstar does eventually free Charmcaster. But still, it's kind of a dark ending because now she's just stuck in there for all eternity.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, but a pretty effective way to end Charmcaster in the classic timeline, and she's still been one of my favorite characters to see in the classic timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But now it's the final countdown,
and
which
we see the return of Master Kundo,
who after his defeat in the last episode has now become more machine than man, and it's something that absolutely she despises. No, not she despises. He despises.
A cyborg.
He's a cyborg. He's like, ugh, I don't like this. But also we have Fistina, because after Kudon takes over the base, we have Fistina, who absolutely loves Rook. She loves Rook. Rook makes her like, okay, I'm going to let you out if you agree to help us, and I'm going to make you a temporary plumber. And she actually does a good job. She does more. She does better as a hero than a villain.
I'll say.
Yeah. The whole point of this is that Kudon wants to isolate Rafana, because of course he does, because he's that kind of petty person. And and he's gonna be like, if I have to deal with technology, I'm just gonna blow up the base. Gonna blow up the base, but it turns out that the base is now a spaceship, which is gonna end up in orbit by the end of the episode. And also Brick and Morty, seriously, like, couldn't get more obvious a reference. Now I will say, Ben being flushed away, he's gonna need 50 showers after this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they're able to defeat Kudon. The base gets taken into orbit. Where it's gonna.
Oh, the plumber
go
base
ahead.
is a spaceship.
Yeah, the plumber base is a spaceship. Yeah, which I guess makes sense. But anyway, so Rook for everything he does in this episode is now made a Magister. So well done, Rook. Well done. You're no longer a rookie anymore. Honestly, Rook has more than earned his way to being a Magister.
I'll say.
Yeah, and Festina is going to become a proper plumber. Once she gets out, once she serves her time, she's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be a hero.
You think she would have gotten like a reduced sentence or like?
I think she does. I think she does. I think she would do like maybe a week, more of community service, and she's like, yeah, you've done more than enough. And now she could become a proper plumber. Yeah. Too bad we won't see that.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to Malgak's attack, where we get the final proper appearance of Vilgax and Albedo in the classic timeline. I mean, Vilgax is going to appear one more time after this, but at the same time, this is pretty much Vilgax's end.
Yep. And for some reason, Albedo decided to team up with Vilgax again. Why did he do that? I have no idea, because that went so well the last time.
Yes, it went so well the last time. And this episode, it has Ben getting sick of Skurd. He's like, I want you off my Omnitrix. So they go to Galvan Prime. Asmith gets him off and now contains Skurd. And but at the same time, they get malware on the loose again.
Well, actually, they turn malware basically they turn him into a suit.
They turn him into a suit that Vilgax ends up putting on, which is where we do actually get the final fight with Vilgax and Ben, and we also get to see Ultimate Wrath with Albedo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and we also get an Asmith vaporized fake out, because let's be honest, Asmith getting vaporized, did they honestly think it would be that easy? Like, no, Asmith is one of the smartest beings in the universe. He would have backup plan for backup plan for backup plan.
Yeah, and he also disables Albedo's Ultimatrix.
Yeah, so now Albedo is permanently stuck as a clone of Ben 10.
Also, as a little side story, there's a Galvan that Blue Kitchen Dreba have a crush on, named Luli.
Yeah, I did mention this, and by the end of the episode, she ends up choosing Dreba as a boyfriend. But at the same time, Luli's cousin Duffy becomes Blue Kit's girlfriend. So it all works out for both of them.
Yep.
Yeah. but now I don't want to think. I don't want to imagine the idea of Galvin's getting on. We've got more important things to talk about, like questionable incest moments in the
All
most
right.
dangerous game show ever. This is like the most out of place episode in this entire section of the series.
Well, let's start off with some interesting stuff. This episode was written by Yuri Lowenthal.
Yeah, it's like Yuri Lowenthal. I can imagine Yuri Lowenthal looked at all of the fan shippings everywhere and was like, "Okay, we're putting them all in this episode." Because this episode starts off with Ben being part of a game show where I kid you not, every woman he knows fights for his affections. This includes his cousins, his mother,
And his
and
great
his
aunt.
great aunt.
But
And-
they are quickly whisked away.
They're quickly whisked away, and I put this as one of my notes. The fact I said Alien Force was weird because of the DNA of Gwen being in a love interest of Ben is finally confirmed here. The incest ship is real. The incest ship is real.
And gross.
And gross. It's gross, but it's real. It's finally real. It's finally real. Canon confirmed. But again, thank God they called out the family members being here. But also Marfredo as well. Marfredo.
Especially competing against her own daughter, Isosceles.
Yeah, Isosceles. Like, what the hell? And also, we brought up, why is Zack Saturday's mom here?
Oh yeah, there was Zack Saturday's mom, Julie, except she was just texting Hervé.
Yeah,
There
you
was
can imagine
Kai,
that. You can imagine
Hester.
that Julie was one of those people who were like just texting. And it's also like, what the hell am I doing here? So one of the challenges that they have to go through here is they basically do hole in the wall.
Yeah, they do hole in the wall, except I'm pretty sure the like walls are sentient, I think.
I think they are sentient.
Oh yeah, and the Gourmand Queen just vores them.
Yeah, the Gourmand Queen just floors them. And also we have Elena. There's like this really weird shot where all the girls are fighting each other, and there's a freeze frame that you can do where you have Elena biting Kai on the ass. I think she's biting her on the ass.
But oh yeah, there's also a race through lava where She-Worst actually gets the flag. And then they have to fight a slamworm.
Yeah, then they have to fight a sandworm, and that's where everyone starts arguing with each other, and we get that really weird biting freeze frame. And when I saw the lava and they had to race through it, I literally said, Charles, the host of this episode, is turning into Chris McClane. He is legitimately Chris McClane in this episode. Because it's like, because Ben's like, hey, you can't change it's my show. I can change the rules however I want it. And it turns out that the losers go to the losers box, which it is revealed that they go into the null void. The losers box is the null void.
Yep.
And by the end of the episode, it comes down to Kai and Esther.
Yep. But Ben ends up choosing Kai, which
was the wrong choice because Esther actually won the game. Yeah. And it's also the episode where Kai and Ben have their second kiss. But the way Ben is able to get out of this is that he uses pixie dust to drive Charles insane. So that's the way they get out of this whole predicament. So yeah, this episode I feel like was an episode that Yuri wanted. I get a feeling Yuri just saw all the fan fictions and was like, I want to acknowledge them by putting them in this weird, bizarre episode.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's revealed that Esther is dating Sonny's, I guess now ex-boyfriend, Antonio.
Antonio. Yeah, sorry, Esther's dating Antonio. Which, hey, good for him. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, a really bizarre episode. I mean, I laughed at it, but at the same time, it feels completely out of place.
Yeah, this feels like it would have been more in place, like at a different point.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of it's kind of weird as well, considering the fact that this is the last appearance in the classic timeline of Gwen, Julie, Lucy, like basically all the females plus Max. This is this episode is the last appearance in the prime timeline of Max, and he's just there sitting watching the episode. It feels like this episode feels like a disservice to Max's character.
Yeah,
Like Max, Gwen, and Kevin should have been in the finale. They really should have been in the finale.
they should have been. However, I could be wrong about this, but well, actually, I know because there was supposed to be a season 9 of Omniverse.
Let me just. Was there supposed to be a season 9 of Omniverse? No, apparently it was never greenlit. They had ideas for it, but apparently it was never moved forward.
Well, let me.
Yeah.
Uh,
But somebody has done a fandom version of season 9
nice.
So like the villain of season 9 would have been the Rooters. Their idea for the villains of season 9 would have been the Rooters and Dr. Psychobus again. And also the main characters would have been Ben, Rook, Kai. It would have been basically all the main cast plus Kai.
You also send that over to me.
Yeah, I'll send it to you now. Like they've just put like a few basic ideas now. But anyway, here we go. Let me send it to you. There we go, so that you can have a look at it. So anyway, moving on to the finale of Ben 10 Omniverse, starting with the end of an era, and I've got to say it's a pretty appropriate title because because we have the finale of the continuation of the last. Let me count now. So we have 4, 7, 10 of the last 18 seasons and 230 episodes. So yeah, we start off. Most of this episode takes place in the future. It's focuses on the future where we finally reveal that Spanner is Ken Tennyson, Kai and Ben's son. And we have Animal fighting Ben and Kai in the future. Rook is Magister in the future as well. Basically, I do believe in the future Rook is gonna become the next leader of the plumbers after Max. And we have Gwen, who finally got her doctorate and is a magister herself. Will has been demoted to a cameraman, whereas Jimmy is the reporter. So good, yeah. Get him behind the camera. No one wants to see his smug face again. But of course, the worst thing about this finale, Tyler, I'm gonna brace myself. I have to brace myself to say this.
What?
Argit is president of Earth. Oh,
If it makes you feel better, it doesn't mean he'll end up as president of Earth in the Prime continuity. This may just be a one-off thing.
yeah, fair enough. But still, I literally put Argit is president of Earth. Fuck. So yeah, most of this episode is basically Max is retiring, so Rook is gonna be taking over as the leader of the Magisters. But this is where Eon and Maltruant finally put their plan into motion. With them fighting in the future, and basically taking on and actually defeating Ben 10,000 and Rook and Kai to the because Maltruant combines the Anahalaga with a dwarf star to make it into a super powerful ultimate weapon where basically no one can touch him. And Eon arrives to give Maltruant is time chariot to basically send him back in time to mess with the reality of the entire Ben 10 Prime timeline. So interesting. So really interesting setup. Having an episode take place in the future for the finale, and now this leads us into the final episode of the Ben 10 original Prime timeline,
A New Dawn.
And again, a very appropriate title. So Ben and Rook. Ben and Rook, after being sent into the future, are now throwing Maltruant through the time stream and arrive in the past where they meet the first ever plumber, which
George Washington.
George Washington. So they're in the year the year 1773, and this is where we also get introduced to a young Philgax meeting Maltruant for the first time. But this is very interesting as well, because not only does Maltruant give Philgax a Chronosapien bomb, but also Ben inadvertently causes the time loop that starts the whole franchise, because because Philgax sees Ben with the Omnitrix in the past. It's like, I want that. I'm going to use that for my power. So it's kind of interesting how this whole time loop begins with Ben. Like, Ben is the cause of all the time loops in the Ben 10 universe. And so after all of this, Ben and Rook go back to the beginning of creation, where they meet where they actually meet the Contumias, however you pronounce their names, which are Contumelia, which are a race of neutral aliens, and because they're in the fifth dimension, their forms cannot be seen by basically people from the third dimension. So they only see projections of who they most desire. So, and it's been confirmed who everyone will actually see. Like, even ones that we don't get in this episode, they've actually confirmed who they would see. So, like, Rook, obviously Ben sees living Mr. Smoothie mascots.
Rook sees his dad. Maltruant sees himself.
Yeah, but also we get ones for Gwen, Gwen, Kevin, and Ben 23. So for Gwen, she would see Max. For Kevin, it's obvious who he would see. Have a guess. Have a guess at what Kevin would see.
Giant wads of cash.
No, his car.
Uh,
That's who it would. That's who we would see. And for Ben 23, you would see Grandpa Max as well. His version of Grandpa Max.
it feels
So-
weird that Ben wouldn't see Grandpa Max then. Like,
Yeah,
if Gwen would see Grandpa Max, Rook sees his dad.
Well, it's the one. Well, it's the thing that holds the most sway in his heart. So it would. So it makes sense. It would be Mr. Smoothie. So yeah. So yeah. So yeah. Basically, this episode, they create the whole Ben 10 universe. Obviously using the Big Bang, as a result of it, which I believe is the combination of the aggregate and the dwarf star. Like that creates the Big Bang, and Ben, and in a really nice touch, Ben siphons through all his aliens that he's accumulated over the course of the franchise to basically steady the Big Bang and uses that to defeat Maltruant.
Yep, and not only that, but Maltruant is now also trapped in a time loop.
Yeah,
Destined to repeat his failures.
Yeah, well, they're all trapped in a time loop now because now that Vilgax knows about the Omnitrix in the past, he's gonna go after it. It's gonna be sent to Earth. Ben 10's gonna find it, gonna have it on, and this whole loop is gonna start all over again. And we end out the series with Ben and Rook witnessing the creation of the universe. Scourge finally finds his species, which is long thought dead. Where it turns out that Scourge species are actually DNA replicas of everything in the universe. So I guess that means all humans have a piece of Scourge inside of them.
Yep. Or at least their DNA can be traced back to Scourge.
Yeah, the DNA could be traced back to Scourge. And of course, we round out the series with Ben and Rook sitting at Mr. Smoothies, with Ben saying like, "Hey, let's go and see the universe. Now that we've created the universe, let's go and see it all." And we wrap up the series with a nice shot of the universe to round out the series, Omniverse itself, and the original Prime Time continuity. And that is it. We are done with the Primetime Ben 10 continuity. Omniverse as a whole, I did enjoy. I really enjoyed. But I think people were like just a bit like taken aback by it because of how serious Alien Force and also Alien were at times. But Omniverse was an enjoyable ride. Rook was a very likable character that came into his own. We got a lot more Max, which was fun to see. And while we didn't get as much Kevin and Gwen, it wasn't like they were left out completely. They showed up when they need to. They played their roles well, and literally everyone that we've seen over the series pretty much makes an appearance in this in Omniverse, with only a very few rare exceptions. So while I'm not fond of a lot of several of the characters, it's still cool that they each got their own spotlight in Omniverse. So yeah, honestly, if people had trouble getting into Omniverse the first time, I really recommend going back and giving it a shot. And if you think like, 80 episodes, that's too much. If you can get through One Piece, you can get through Omniverse. I'll always say that now to people who are like, we don't want to watch 80 episodes of it. If you can watch 80 episodes of One Piece, you can watch 80 episodes of Omniverse. But yeah, that was everything on Omniverse. Really underrated. Yang Ben 10. Yeah, we've just Scoot and Yang, we've just wrapped up Omniverse, talking about Omniverse. Overall, we both enjoyed it, and we feel like a lot of people really need to give it another chance.
Yeah, honestly, I do feel like its comedic tone can drag it down and hinder the stories they wanted to tell. For example, I think this is most evident with the Rooters.
Yeah.
But, like, I still think Omniverse is a fantastic. It's still like a fantastic series.
Yeah, it wasn't as painful as Ultimate Alien at times, and season 3 of Alien Force.
That's mostly down to the length of each season. Like each season of Omniverse is like 10 episodes.
The 10 episodes. So they're pretty easy to get through. Like you could literally, like, if you did a season a day, that would only take you a week to get through Omniverse.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, give Omniverse another chance. I think you might find it a pleasant surprise. And with that, we will see you when we cover the reboot. Until then, peace.